Hello and welcome to episode 137 of Celtic Rumours TV, the Bawz and Bovril podcast with your host Mark and myself Paul. We're joined tonight by Terence. If you like what we do, please hit the like button, notifications and subscribe to the show. You can check out all the links to the podcast in our description below. Also in the description is our form to the podcast, www.celticrumours.co.uk. On tonight's show, we will talk about yesterday's 0-0 draw against St Johnstone at home at Celtic Park and look ahead to the Glasgow Derby next Sunday. Last week of the transfer window, we're expecting the quality signings that Brendan Rodgers is looking for, and we'll talk about the good, the bad and David Tumble on this show this evening. Firstly though, I'll hand off to Mark for a few shout-outs.
Right, thanks very much, Paul. A few quick shout-outs to some of the lads on the forum. Richie, David 66, old Tim Alloy, wee John United Ireland, Welshie, a Glasgow Green. I think that's everybody on the forum now. Who have we got in the chat already tonight? Sean Paul Menzies, nice to see you, mate. Frank's on a mission here tonight, isn't he, Frankie boy? Mm-hmm. He's got a few opinions. Frank, if you want to come on, I'll put a link out and you can come on and talk, mate, no bother. Terence, nice to see you there, Terence. Grot Bags, nice to see you, hen. Brian, hail Brian, hail bud. Martin, good evening, mate, nice to see you in again, pal. Take 2 minutes, Paul, just to talk about this YouTube partnership thing, bud, right? Mm-hmm. Right, we qualified the other day to become a YouTube partner, right? And basically, see if you look at the screen, there's a wee dollar sign thing of that, right? And it's the first level of it, right? I'm not asking anybody for any money. I'm really not, but if you see it there, there's a wee dollar sign, and it's to become members of the channel and stuff like that. That's not what we're about. We're not asking any to give any money or that, but just it's the first stage to becoming kind of bigger on YouTube and getting adverts and earning money off the adverts and stuff like that. So just if you see that wee dollar sign thing or pound sign, whatever it is, that's all it's for. Don't bother your backside with it, to be honest. I'm not begging anybody for money. I think Paul agrees with me on that, didn't you, bud?
Fuck that, Mark. I'm going to be out sick for 3 months, but they want to.
Aye, Paul. We'll start a GoFundMe page for Paul being off for 3 months.
No, it's great to get the partnership, and look, it brings the podcast to the next level, which myself, Mark, and all the lads who are involved with there were absolutely delighted.
Aye. Thanks to everybody that's listened and subscribed and likes and stuff and comments and that, because without that we wouldn't have got to this kind of level. We never thought we would get. When we used to joke about me being a YouTube millionaire by the time I was 50 and that, but I mean, really, Paul, we just started this to have a chat about Celtic with the troops, wasn't it? Really, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It was never going to be. We were never going to become pure famous in that. Do you know what I mean? Right. Well, anyway, that's me said that about that. On you go, bud.
So, yesterday, Celtic 0, St Johnstone 0 was the final score. Just a few stats I just took up there. Shots, we had 19 to St Johnstone's 5 on target, where we had 5 to St Johnstone, 2 passes of 733 to their 246. Accuracy, we had 84% and they had 52%. I really don't like. Last season, Mark, we've said it here on this podcast that Celtic are creating chances, and we did that yesterday. But again, it seemed to be struggling the finish article, struggle to get the hit the net.
To get the ball in the net.
Is that the quality that Brendan Rodgers is saying, like that he needs that better player to do these things?
What do you mean? What do you mean, Paul?
Like a quality striker, Mark.
I will see that. I mean, see, first of all, yesterday, any other day, thanks very much, Martin, for offering that, mate. Any other day, Paul would have won that 3 or 4-0. Do you know what I mean? Matt O'Reilly could have had a hat trick.
Mm-hmm.
Kyogo could have had at least one. We made chances. I mean, the stats show you that. Do you know what I mean? And it just, I mean, Kyogo's playing a lot deeper, so he's not in the box as much. But again, yesterday, Paul, we're putting crosses into the box, and it's just, Kyogo's not going to win headers in a box against big, burly, hairy-ass Scottish defenders.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's my take on it. But I mean, I'm not blaming that on Kyogo yesterday. I blame the players, Paul, more than I blame the team. We'll probably wait until he's going to get stuck into that. Do you know what I mean? But for that yesterday, even last week as well, Paul, I blame the players for these performances, because even guys, our squad, we've said it before, Paul, we talk about players and we say they're good enough to get us by domestically, but they're not going to be good enough for just trying to make any inroads in Europe, European football. But just the last couple of games, it's just there's been no kind of urgency and no tempo. Callum McGregor's not been playing very well, and he's the heartbeat of the team. If McGregor's not playing well, Celtic's not going to play too well.
Mm-hmm.
Evening, Rebel, mate. Nice to see you again. You as well, David. Bobby, 1962. Thanks for joining us, bud.
My take too, Ragland, is
that my Yida shot was a cracker, wasn't it?
mm-hmm.
No, I mean, who was it? Was it Terence that said it on the live chat? He's our second choice striker now.
Yeah, but like, that's really not part of Maida's game, Mark. Is it? Like, Rodgers is asking him to do something that I don't think Maida is actually capable of doing, cutting in and taking a shot to you.
Paul, I'm not actually too sure what Maida is capable of doing. I've said this before.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his energy in that, he runs about and he'll give you 110% for the full 90 minutes and stuff like that. But when you actually want him to do anything, like football, actually with the ball at his feet, he struggles.
But is it concern as well, Mark, right, that you have players coming out like O'Reilly, Callum Mack, Joe Hart. Yesterday we had Maida coming out that Ange, the way Ange played was kind of breaded into him night and day. and they're struggling to adapt to the way Brendan Rodgers is playing. Is that concerned to you? Is that saying like that these players aren't able to adapt to the way Rodgers wants them to play?
Well, Paul, they're professional football players.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Mark. Yeah.
Aye. So I'm not buying into that. They've had long enough in training in that with Rodgers. I mean, it's not as if he's asking them to go and play rugby or basketball. I mean, that's just what are they saying then? They can only play under Ange. Well, I don't see many of them. I don't see Spurs coming in for many of our players. Do you know what I mean? So so we might as well sell these guys. Oh, well, if Ange isn't here, there's no point in you being here. Absolute nonsense.
I don't know, Rick. It's just is the tempo gone out of the team, Mark, of the way Rodgers wants to play? Because I remember Rodgers, Mark, and at Leicester and stuff like that, he wanted these wingers to get down the byline. He wanted his left backs to be overlapping, create that space. We got caught twice with Scales, and they only for Joe Hart. Saving thing was because Toggle was up the field and he couldn't get back.
But you'll always get that in games, Paul. No matter what team you're playing, the opposition will always get one or two chances. It's just the nature of the game. Do you know what I mean?
No, but I'm saying the reason we got caught out there, Mark, because we have a left back who doesn't have the pace to get back. Do you get me? You know?
Aye.
You know, like,
I know silly what you're saying about Paul with the tempo. But I mean, for me again, Paul, that's down to the players on the park. When's a manager ever going to be screaming at players and that to well, maybe if you're trying to see the game out at the end of the game, but a manager's not going to be out on the touchline shouting at his players and that, slow it down. This isn't what I taught you in training. Do you know what I mean? For me, the sole blame for the last 2 weeks, the last two games, lies solely at the feet of the actual players out on that pitch. Brendan Rodgers didn't make Matt O'Reilly miss their chances. Do you know what I mean? Brendan Rodgers didn't. The one Kyogo missed it. Probably, I think he could have and should have scored. Things like that. It's just, I mean, when you've got, what was it, 19 shots at goal.
And like we're creating chances.
Aye. So the way Rodgers had them playing created the 19 chances. The fact that only 5 of them were on target, that's not down to Brendan Rodgers. That's down to the players.
But is that why you think Rodgers, Mark, is shouting out that he needs this quality? Like he needs kind of first time starters, not players with potential. Do you know what I mean? You know.
But Paul, they've got to see the squad won the treble last year.
Yeah.
I mean, is it did these guys did they turn up and think it's just their God-given right to win games? All we need to do is just turn up and we'll win games.
That's the way it's kind of looking, isn't it?
I mean, came back there. Cal McGregor got a big bumper new deal. Just about 6 weeks ago, was it? 8 weeks ago, whatever it was. And he's not kicked a ball since. If that was any other, I mean, let's face it, McGregor is one of our star players. We don't usually give Scottish players the kind of credit they deserve. Like we're homegrown players when they're like exceptional. McGregor has been exceptional for us for years, but these last couple of weeks he's been absolutely ganting. Even in pre-season, he was ranked rotten. And it's all right lifting trophies in that, Paul, when you're Celtic captain, but now it's when you're in the kind of in the trenches. McGregor needs to show up more than just standing there and instead of shouting at like Lagerbielke and that to get the ball forward, he should be taking the ball forward.
That's one thing, Mark, that I'm noticing a lot is that he doesn't seem to be looking for the ball as much as he did in previous seasons. You know?
Aye, I'd agree with that. And see if I don't know if he's maybe carrying a wee knock. McCarthy doesn't need to play every week. Just because he's the captain, because Scott Brown ran through was to play every week, doesn't mean that McGregor needs to. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, imagine Scott Brown in his prime was putting in the performances they knew that McGregor is. Because mind it, for a good few seasons, there was a hell of a lot of Celtic fans didn't rate Scott Brown. You know what I mean? The forum and that was fully week in, week out that Scott Brown wasn't good enough for Celtic and stuff like that. But Scott Brown wouldn't have accepted that the levels of performance for his teammates. You know what I mean? Even if Scott Brown's no playing, like if he wasn't playing like a good, if he wasn't a good run of form, he still went out there and made sure that the rest of the team all get tore in. Do you know what I mean? He still ran about looking for the ball and trying to help for the full game that he was playing, and didn't kind of. It's just says, Paul. It's as if McGregor's no want the kind of responsibility controlling it.
Yeah, that's you want from your captain, Mark. When we were digging deep against teams last season, McGregor would step up with a goal or he was pushing the team forward. But like I don't see that these first couple of games from him. I don't see it there. You know, it's on. And like as you said there, like this is a time now when we'll see the real captain capabilities of McGregor. You know.
Oh, here he comes, a wee angry leprechaun.
I fucking heard that.
How you doing, Terence?
All right, boys, yourselves.
You're good. Well, me and Paul were scared to message you last night after your reaction to the game yesterday. We thought we'd give you a wee cooling off point today before we asked if you were coming on.
The man's a joke. Like he's an absolute joke of a manager. Like he's made. How can you take a team that won the treble? Like there was probably if the Spurs manager was there, there's probably 8 players that would have started yesterday. That realistically, you would have thought that he would have started, excluding any injuries and stuff like that. But 8 players that probably would have started. Like he's actually managed to make players worse. Like he's gone from a team that was played really exciting football. The majority of times there was certain games last year, yeah, they were pretty poor in as well. But for the most part, they played exciting, attacking, direct football. He's now gone to basically it's become walking pace, and for me, the fullbacks have no idea what they're doing. They don't overlap anymore. They don't inverted fullbacks. They don't have a clue. And he's actually made players like Greg Taylor for the last 2 seasons and McGregor were always 2 names you'd say on the team sheet. First, no questions about it. They were always continuously playing excellent football, particularly in the league. Like Greg Taylor's all over the place. Anthony Ralston's all over the place. McGregor's all over the place. Like he has Kyogo coming back to do this into the number 10 hole. I was listening to you there when you were talking. How many balls went across the 6-yard box with no one in there? And you're crossing the ball. I remember we commented about it last year, or I think it was when they played Livingston in the 2 games, the home and away game. That was something like 80 crosses between the two games, and Celtic had actually lost 1-0 over the 2 legs, so to speak. Like what's Kyogo? 5'7", 5'8", maybe, and they're trying to put crosses into him continually all day. Yeah, Matt O'Reilly missed a few sitters, no question about it. But it's even the pace of the play, Mark, that there even is. Like Scales at one stage, there was probably 10 minutes ago, and he was barely above walking pace, and himself and the Swedish lad are passing over and back. I heard what you were saying, but that has to be instructions from Rodgers. Like the pace of the play, like everything. Like there's no such thing as a quick kick out, a quick throw, things have to be told. I want you to do this certain way. I want you to do this. I want you to do this. And the passing over and back to the 2 centre backs is something we saw in Rodgers last year in particular as well, that he always done. He's nearly trying to draw out the opposition, and all the opposition now are doing are sitting back and going, grand, we'll go 2 lines of 4 or 5 and a 4, whatever it is, and you have to try to break us down. And Celtic aren't capable of doing it because the pace is so slow. Like joke shop. Like,
Do you want to come in?
I'm not disagreeing with you, Terence, but again, I'm putting it the players. I'm putting it onto the players. It's them that are it's them that are playing to their own high standards.
I understand that, Mark, and that's a very fair point. Players are off the boil, and I get that, but like I don't post much in the forum. I read a lot, but I put up the post yesterday, and everyone has their own opinions, and some would agree and some would disagree with some of it, and I understand that, and I fully get that. But like, I don't understand how he would come in and automatically change everything when it was so successful. I understand if he wants to make a tweak here, a tweak there, but the problem is he's probably so arrogant he can't stick with what was successful. He wants to be successful in his own way, and the way he's doing it now is like, if they were there till now, they wouldn't have scored. They've played at Kilmarnock and St Johnstone with the greatest respect to those two sides, and they haven't managed a goal in either of those two games. And now next week they're away in Ibrox, and then the Champions League is soon after that. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I can't. I don't like watching them play.
Kilmarnock beat Rangers in the first day of the season, too.
They did, but we all laughed about it. We all laughed about it, going, "Oh my God, I can't believe they lost to them." We all laughed about it, Mark, and then we did the same. But it's the performance. It's the performance, Mark. The performances are just, they're so, like, they're day and night compared to what you saw for the majority of games last season. They're day and night.
Mm-hmm. On your point with the two left back, I think, and I've said it numerous of times since the start of the season, that Varison and Taylor are constantly caught between themselves, going to the inverted full back role and then trying to go to the way Rodgers wants to play. I'm putting that down, Mark, to a lot of them. Like, again, what I was saying at the start of the podcast, we're struggling to adjust. Like, you know, you're professional footballers. Like, you know what I mean? The manager doesn't want you to go into this inverted full back role. Why are you going in there? Do you know?
But how do you know he's telling them not to do it?
I don't know, but that's what I'm saying, Mark.
I mean, because he used it at Leicester at times, didn't he?
No, only once, but his left backs got injured when he was trying to do it, so he kind of adopted away from it for the time being because his left backs couldn't do it, you know.
But would you agree that the two full backs look lost? They don't know, you don't see them overlapping, and you don't see them doing inverted. It's nearly like it's under 12s. It's nearly like it's under 12s football, where you're left back and you're right back, and you just stay there and you just stay there. Mm-hmm. And then you're just asking the wingers like Abad or Maeda, who, like, I think his shot still hasn't landed, but he's like, you know, he asking him to cross balls in all day. The two boys, I don't understand what he's trying to do. You have McGregor and O'Reilly. O'Reilly played good at it. McGregor's still poor. You have the other Yahoo inside with McGregor, who seems to just slow down everything in Turnbull. Mm-hmm. Like, there was 2 or 3 occasions in the first half where young lad made a couple of breaks, made 1 or 2 quick passes, and someone made a break into space. And if it was a Tate, you imagine it's first time ball, or even probably Iman Holm, it's first time ball.
That's what I was saying the last time, Terence. When Hitate plays, he already has 2 moves done by Turnbull makes up his mind to what to do with the first one. You know? Oh yeah,
but they're too similar, Paul. McGregor and Turnbull, for me, it's like two players getting in each other's way, like.
Yeah. You know,
the midfield. I said the other week that the goalkeeper position for me is the weakest at the club, but we've got a lot of numbers in the midfield, but we've not got that kind of. I mean,
there's no balance, though, Mark.
Well, Mark, I can't understand why. And people are saying the live chat there as well. I can't understand why he's not putting a Wass in there.
Aye, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. But that would be missing
to the team in there, Mark, wouldn't it?
Aye.
You know,
if you're playing with if you're going to play with a 3-man midfield, you want kind of a hard man. Do you know what I mean? A physical presence in there. Even in UD, thanks for coming in again, mate. Nice to see you. And you want like your ball player who's McGregor, and then you've got Matt O'Reilly doing like the box to box job. Mm-hmm. There's a balance to that. But again, under Ange, we say that all the time. We're powder puffing the midfield.
Yeah, definitely.
If somebody put it up there, mark the midfield out the game, and that's us. We're struggling, and that's what it is, because we've not got any kind of physical presence in that midfield to stamp the authority on it.
Because what I guarantee you as well, if Awasa was playing in that McGregor role, that he'd be looking for the ball off Lago Beagle and Scales yesterday. He'd be looking for that pass mark to take the pass and move it forward. You know?
I mean, why is he not getting a chance?
I don't know. I really don't know. I'm with Terence there. I don't see why he's persisting to pick David Turnbull. You know, when he could easily slot McGregor in there and play a Wata, you know, or even home.
Even home?
Yeah.
I mean, he's impressed. I don't think there's a Celtic fan that he's not impressed so far.
Well, there is, Mark. There is Brendan Rodgers. Clearly, it has impressed him. Because how can he continually turn to David Turnbull, and even not to go on about it, I put up even in the live chat yesterday. You're struggling. You're 1-0 down. You're looking for a goal, and they're bringing on James Forrest. You know you're in trouble. You know you're in a world of trouble if that's your if you have Turnbull on the team and you have to bring on James Forrest to look for a goal. You're in a world of trouble. That I know there's injuries. I get all that. But at the same time, what, I mean, really, it's, I don't know, it's a disaster, Try not to swear.
Brian said Brendan Rodgers has made a rod for his own back by bigging up Turnbull.
Yeah, but Brian, you were the person who was saying Rodgers just saved David Turnbull's Celtic career when he played against Ross County, and I was on holidays and I was going, my God, they're making Turnbull out to be messy here. Do you know what I mean?
But to be fair, he did play well that game, Paul.
Yeah, but that's David Turnbull. That's David Turnbull.
You get one good game and then
you get one good game out of 10. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's consistency that is his problem. You know what I mean? You respect the player. There's no doubt David Turnbull has a foot in him. He can score, but 9 times out of 10, he's lost when to shoot. Or he might be with Mickey Johnson. Do you know that? Do you know?
How many times yesterday did you hear the commentator say so-and-so has just nicked the ball off David Turnbull's toe?
Yeah.
One of them was the ball boy. No, but you're going back to your point there a minute ago, Mark. Look at you were saying about Iwata. Rodgers wasn't picking Hatate ahead of Turnbull.
Yeah.
Turnbull was ahead of Hatate. So is it a personal thing that so and so's brought in? I know he's brought in these guys from the Middle East, and they're his kind of guys, but they're not my guys.
I don't know. Has there been something said, Mark? Maybe Rodgers wasn't picking Hatate. Could he have said that he wants away? Do you know what I mean?
I think it's down to that. I think it's down. I don't think this is all the Hatate no playing is all in Brendan Rodgers.
It's strange when a player comes out saying he's going to stop negotiations until after the transfer window. That's to say, if a good team comes in for you, I'm gone. But if it doesn't, then I'd sign a new contract. But
right, I don't think it's the Hatate situation is all down to Brendan Rodgers. I really don't.
But in playing him, do you not think it's down to Brendan Rodgers, Mark? I know he's injured, but before that, at the end of the day, if a player's available for selection and the manager doesn't select him,
I agree with Terence, yeah.
It's the manager's decision to go, well, I think he's a better player than you, I'm starting him. In my opinion, he suits what I want to do better than you suit what I want to do. Fair enough. I understand the manager has entitled to pick who he wants. But for most Celtic players to watch Hatate for the last year and a half, 2 years, and if everyone's to say, well, I picked David Turnbull ahead of the Liverpool lads.
Who said he watched every game last season, so he would have known about Hatate. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, well, of course, and that's just the issue I have with it. I don't know. I just think so many players seem to have regressed for some strange reason. I don't know why. And it's scary to think that they went from such a dominant force to people going, well, they need 2 windows to get it right here to rebuild it. And you're like, just won the treble. What's there to rebuild? We were all saying it was get in maybe 2 or 3 players of really, really, real quality to add to what's already there. And now it's, we need a left back, we need a right back, we need a goalie, we need a centre back, we need a centre mid, we need a left wing, we need a centre forward. So it was the crowd across the city that needed to do 8, 9, 10 transfers, not Celtic. But now everyone's saying that we need this, we need it, because he can't play Rodgers' way, he can't play Rodgers' way, he can't play Rodgers' way, he can't play Rodgers' way. To me, like, surely the manager has to go. Like, I mean, he's John Kennedy and Strachan and all these boys. As I said, without repeating myself, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I don't expect him to, because of the type of man he is, to stay the exact same way as the Spurs manager played. Fine, but like a small tweak. This is like basically a ripped up the blueprint, run it out, and I'm going to do it my way. That's what it comes across to me.
But manager doesn't do that.
I understand that, Mark, but what manager comes into a treble winning side? Very few. I get what your point. I'm not saying he's to rip up the whole. I'm not saying that he just sticks with what was there and he doesn't implement his own ideas. That's fine. But I mean, like the majority of that was working very, very well. Why adjust it to the level that he appears to have adjusted it to? Is what I'm saying. I just don't understand it, because the players can't seem to do what he wants them to do. And I don't understand it. Whereas a lot of them could do it the other way, do very, very well. If he said in Leicester that he did play inverted fullbacks and he did do this type of style and he did do this, then why not say, well, I'm not going to use it all, but everything's going well at the minute. I'll keep it going while everything's working well, and I'll just try and implement one or two of my little tweaks that I want to put into it a little bit more. Whereas it just seems to be, it's a case of, right, that was excellent, but I'm not doing that. I want to do it this way. Well, it's not working. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm. Just going to Bobby there. If we bring in another 3 or 4 players, is that going to be a mass clear out in January? We will have the amount of players who are surplus of requirement. I don't know, January. I think a lot might go this week, Mark.
I think it'll be a bit of clear out this week.
That'll be
Haksabanovic away. Vata, but looks as if Bernabe could be on the. He could be the one that's going to make way if there's going to be a new left back brought in.
Mm-hmm. Your thoughts on that, actually? If he has an issue knocking the manager's door and tell him, like, why aren't I playing? What do you want me to do? Like, seems to be the new level of player, Mark, when they want out of a club. They put this thing on their Instagram page. You know, we see G. Kabakis do it. Ivanovic done it. I'll get rid of him. I mean, he's gone like that. If they don't like what you do, it's not the right place for him. Like, how many chances has he got?
I know. And we all want him to do well, Ted, you know what I mean? We did, because he was one, when he first came on, he was showing a bit of bite, a bit of a dig about him, and we said at the time that's what we were kind of missing. And we all want him to kick on, but as you said there, Paul, many chances has Haksabanovic had, and he's done nothing in a Celtic top. You know what I mean?
Anytime he started, he's been quite poor as well. He's been okay in 20-minute cameos for a sub, but when he's got his chance to start, apart from maybe one game where I saw him play where I thought he was really good, other than that, he struggled. He struggled a lot when he started games.
Mm-hmm. You know,
take that. He'll be away. Vata will be away, although he's not really a first team player. McCarthy will be away.
Yesi?
Who?
Yesi?
Yeti, he'll probably be away as well.
Zorro's still there at the moment. You know.
The Tino away, Paul?
No, not at the moment, because of the issue with his agent and the team in Turkey, that there was something about his agent being banned. And I think like a third party has come in, Mark, since to kind of negotiate the deal instead of the agent. Right. That's what's happening there, you know. So he's actually still on Celtic's books at the moment, you know.
I missed that. I thought was it a French team or something he went to?
Yeah, French team. And there was a
like there's a lot of deadwood there, like.
Definitely there.
A lot of deadwood, lot of wages been soaked up.
A lot of wages terms, so really.
Yeah.
Is maybe that one of the things? Is that maybe? I know we've got plenty of money in the bank and stuff like that, but you can't just keep stockpiling players and signing.
Yeah, Mark. Do we need to kind of clear out the wage first before? You know, I mean, like if you're looking back, all these good things Mark was saying about Ange and stuff like that, you kind of have to question some of his signings too, Terence, like Kobayashi and.
Oh, listen, 100%, Paul. Like, he's rubbish. Like, no, he's worse than Scales was yesterday. And Scales, and I hate saying it as an Irishman, he was shocking yesterday. Like, do you know, he was like, I mean, he nearly had to pay for a ticket to get back in when your man went left and right over him. Like, you know what I mean? It's only once or twice in a game you have to defend when you're that dominant. And he, like Joe Hart, to be fair, pulled off a fantastic save there from that fella. That Costello, I think his name was.
Two saves. Yeah.
But he definitely pulled off that one where Scales didn't know whether your man was gone left or right. Scales was all over the place for that one. I thought he struggled a bit yesterday, which is disappointing. But you know, I think he was kind of. You'd worry if he's struggling in a game like that where the team are so dominant and he's asked to do a defensive duty once or twice under pressure, and he's for all intents and purposes he's kind of folded a bit for me.
Evening, Lovett. Thanks very much for coming in, mate.
Just about
Robert Baker as well. Thanks for joining us, mate. Nice to see you.
Just to go on about what Terence is saying about Rodgers changing systems and stuff like that, right? Do you think the reason McGregor is struggling because Brendan Rodgers knows Joe Hart's weakest point is his feet, and he's giving Joe Hart the license, right, to put the ball upfield, which is bypassing McGregor and on midfield area. And since I know, like, since Joe Hart has kind of got the license for that, he's booting the ball at kind of every chance he gets. You know,
but Paul, many managers has Cal McGregor played under.
Mm-hmm.
Even at Celtic, Neil Lennon, Ronnie, Ange, Brendan Rodgers twice, Steve Clark with Scotland. Too many Scotland managers has he played under. So, see if these players can't adapt to any system that a manager wants them to. How can they call themselves professional football players, Paul?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, fair dues if you're 5'5" and the manager wants you to play like Haaland or somebody like that. Do you know what I mean? That's a physical impossibility. But for a manager to tell you this is the way he wants you, when you've got the boy he wants you to do this way, and when you've not got the boy he wants you to do that way, what's so difficult about that these guys that are getting 20, 30, 40 grand a week, maybe even just rumours knew that Celtic's giving Calmac 45, 50 grand a week. And they're struggling to adjust to a manager. So for me, again, Paul, that's down to the players. Brendan Rodgers is managed at the highest levels.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? If he's asking players to do things, simple things, like even we're talking about Taylor and that, I mean, if he's telling them not to come in and play that inverted role, if they're doing that, then either is it that thick? Even that many managers as Greg Taylor worked under. That's how I can't put. I can't put all the blame on.
Yesterday, I seen John Kennedy actually calling Taylor out to the line. I don't know if Andy kind of noticed that he came behind Rodgers and he was calling Taylor out to the line. You know. So it's not a directive from Brendan Rodgers that he's keep going in there. Do you get me? I think it's just I just can't believe
it's habit.
Ange ball is bred into him, Terence. Like, you know what I mean?
I think it's habit. But we would have all said, to be fair, that if you were asking Greg Taylor to get up and down the byline all day long, it's probably not his forte. It's probably not. It was something that he struggled on before the Spurs manager came in. Mm-hmm. When he was trying to do it, we were all saying, no, he's not up to it. The funny thing is, it's something that Anthony Ralston was normally very good at, but he doesn't appear to be doing very much of it either. Now I know he wasn't playing yesterday. I know Johnson, and in fairness, Johnson had a fine game when he came on when he started for the game he was on yesterday.
Johnson getting up and down the line, Terence. Do you know what I mean? Johnson was getting to the wide line, and he created that space for Dyson to do that shot that you said that still didn't land. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Oh yeah. But what I would say as well is like I did say a couple of weeks ago that I thought that Celtic would go for another striker, would need another striker. And I think if Rodgers is going to play the way he's going to play, and it clearly appears he is, like if you're going to have fellas going down the wings and whipping in balls, there's no place for Kyogo in there for that. Like,
No.
not like if you're going to be launching in balls there, you either play two up front where you have a big man with Kyogo, or you drop him behind or something like that. But trying to kick crosses into Kyogo, I don't know. Someone might say, but how many goals has Kyogo scored with his head since he was at Celtic? I wouldn't say a huge amount, to be honest. Mm-hmm. But I mean, as Mark you alluded to before, Mark Rogers was coming in. He always liked your Dembele style striker, Edward, a big guy that can hold it up. He can head. He can do that. Like Kyogo's coming back to the number 10 role, as we would call it, to spray passes left and right, and then he's trying to link up with play. But as I said yesterday, how many balls went across the 6-yard box and there was no one there? No one there for it. Like, so, like, I mean, if it's a case that it's personnel, fair enough. But that means like you're talking a lot of changes, like, and it's I don't know. It's a strange one for me that players have gone so far back. It really is.
But Terence,
yes.
What did you say there? Sorry, it went a bit weird for me.
I just said it's just so strange for me that, like, if they want to play this particular way with the guys bombing up the wings and crossing in the balls, then for me, there's no place for Kyogo. You need a big man up there, and the Kyogo is not the answer if you're trying to be whipping balls into a 5'7" guy.
Definitely. Pointless.
And the problem as well is, like, for me, I just don't understand how so many of the players have regressed so much. Like, is it a case that they're now not playing the ball per se through the midfield as much? That it's more when the full backs get it, they're more trying to pick out the wingers and completely bypassing the midfield. If that's the case, you have no business having Turnbull and McGregor in there, because they're both the exact same. Turnbull hasn't got the pace to go up down the field. McGregor doesn't do that as really much anymore because, again, he's that bit older. He's more in the holding role. So I don't know. I don't know. If they're going to do that, for me, they should be playing two up front. They should be trying to play a big man in Kyogo. Let Kyogo drop off like he's doing, but keep a big man up front. If O is injured, but if he was fit, something like that. Because otherwise, what's the point? You may as well be crossing the ball into me as Kyogo, like.
Oh, it's pointless. I mean, you see it constantly during the game yesterday. I mean, there was a lot of good balls put into the box, and it was just nobody there to take the chances. I keep harping on about it, and people, but you can't tell me that Kyogo's a better striker than Lee Griffiths or Gary Hooper.
No, but they're goal poachers. They're genuine goal poachers. But to say at the same time, you wouldn't ask, like, Gary Hooper wasn't necessarily the guy that you would ask to come miles out the field to play in the number 10 role. His role is, I'm standing around the box and I'm a finisher. The ball comes in here 8 times out of 10 and putting it in the back of the net. And Lee Griffiths was the same.
It's like at the moment, Kyogo's kind of playing a false number 9. You know,
that's what it's like.
We're not playing with a striker, Mark. Do you know what I mean? It's like we have 3 attackers and Kyogo's a false number 9 or something like that, isn't it?
Right. It definitely does, Paul. It's just, I mean, if people, I take pelters of this when people think I'm slagging off Kyogo. I'm no slag. They're Brian pouncing on it right away. We love hearts for him. It's just, he's a great player, brilliant player, but it's just, for me, he's just not an out-and-out striker. A good striker, you only need like half a chance. Do you know what I mean? And they're causing problems for a defence kind of thing.
Mark last season, yeah.
Aye.
Oh, Paul.
Do you know what I mean?
Can you imagine that yesterday? A player like Giacomakis. Do you know what I mean? The boy crosses coming in and that. I mean, how many goals was it he scored? Was it his first 11 or 12 goals in the row with his first touch of the game and stuff like that? I mean, that's that's crazy odds. And again, without going all grin, was that Angie's ego that made him know? Do you know what I mean? Kyogo was his man, and he wasn't giving Giacomakis enough game time and stuff like that. Is he's in the move again meant to be to Giacomakis?
I kind of heard rumours about that as well, coming back to Europe, Mark, I think, yeah.
It was another English team looking at him or something. I saw the other day. I saw something about it.
I think it was either Sheffield United or Burnley. I think one or two of them, I think.
I think Burnley, that rings a bell. Any team that gets mentioned have flashbacks, man.
Yeah.
They're rebels saying at this stage I'd just throw any new players in at Ibrox. Why no?
Well, listen, like, you look at Juranovic, Alistair Johnson. They all played there, and they all had in their first games they had crackers. So, like, if the player is good enough, I just like to know what they're genuinely trying to do. If his thing is the route one ball up the field and he's trying to do that, no problem with it. But get a big striker in. To allow him to do that. Like the idea of Maeda being the replacement striker at the minute is laughable. Like,
Frightening.
It's laughable. Like, I mean, like, there's the people in the stand are more danger than the goalie. And you know, with shots, like.
But that's just because Ozil injured turns.
I understand that, Mark. But if Kyogo got injured, said Kyogo got injured during the week of training, and for argument's sake, because every second fella seems to be pulling their hamstring at the minute, and it basically gets a knock and doesn't recover, and he's another 3 or 4 weeks after the thing. You're then playing with Maeda as your lone striker. Now that would make you not sleep at night. That thought, like. You know, that's scary. Like, his work rate, everything about the guy. I like the guy. His work rate, everything is unbelievable. But my God, like, he's got a touch, and sometimes he's got a touch. I'm not joking. I won't even say what it's like live in this, but it's just, you know, like the Aberdeen one's a prime example. He must have taken about 7 or 8 touches, and everyone was worse than the first one.
His touch is like me trying to get my jizzle into the toilet, and it goes all over the bathroom floor. That's what it is. You know,
Jesus Christ.
9 times out of 10.
Evening, Pedro. Nice to see you, bud.
9 times out of 10, it goes onto the bathroom floor. Do you know?
Sometimes there's just no words, Mark. Sometimes there's just no words.
You're just better off being quiet and just let me blabber on. Like, you know? But even if we did, right? If it came down to that, right, that we had to play Maeda up front, I don't see how it would work, because in Japan, when he scored the 2 goals there, the Japan defence, Mark, pushed up. Do you get me? And we used Maeda's pace, and he was able to. They're not doing it. They won't do that for you in Scotland. They'll sit back, and there's no space for Maeda to run into to play Maeda up front, is there? You know?
No, it's no what came into my head there in terms was talking there. I mean, how many times is it twice it's happened? We went to Ibrox and Kyogo had to get off injured with his shoulder.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? What if that happens again?
Mm-hmm.
Very possible.
Even Celtic FC, you'll never walk alone. Thanks very much for joining us, mate. If you got a channel, I'll try and find it, mate, and give you a wee shout out on the comment section. But thanks very much for coming in, mate.
You know,
Miles as well. Nice to see you, Miles apart.
It's just I don't know. It's just a scary thought that you could be left in a certain predicament with that. You know what I mean? That Maeda could be the lone striker, and as you said, they're like, had an injury, didn't tell anyone. Apparently, he's have to go. Yeah. They're saying Kyogo's one fall from being out with a shoulder, and if he goes out with a shoulder, he gets an operation. You could play the season. It's gone. Like,
well, on Kyogo, he was told by the physios during the summer that he's better off for his own health to get an operation on the shoulder, but he didn't want it.
He should have been just told he was getting it, Paul. Not he's a choice. I would have been just telling him, you're getting it. I'm paying your wages. You're getting an operation. You're booked in to get it done. End out. It's as simple as that.
Has affected him kind of since he was in Japan, Mark, this shoulder injury.
It looks like that. But it's sort of different. I totally agree with Terence. It should be up to the club to tell them.
Mm-hmm.
They're paying his wages, like.
Mm-hmm. And another player as well who kind of hasn't kind of stepped up really, and I was expecting big things from him, and he was kind of dropped yesterday. Is a bad mark, you know?
He's been a bit hit and miss as well, but hasn't he?
Yeah.
But why is he getting dropped and stuff like that? I mean, even at that, see the crosses into the box and stuff like that. Many times have you seen a Bada coming in at the back post and not one of them in?
Yeah.
I mean, I would see, if anything did happen to Kyogo, I would rather go with a Bada up front than Maeda.
Oh God, yeah, I'd agree with that.
Even Yang, he's got a bit of height and a bit of ball to him as well. I thought he was one of our better.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Mark. On the bright side from yesterday, I was very impressed with Yang. Very impressed. You know,
but he's been impressive. He's been impressive, Paul, from the word go. Like from the even in the friendly games he's played, he's looked very direct. He looks like he's got a good touch. He's got his first impression is basically straight at attacking the defender, trying to get past him, trying to get crosses in, trying to be direct. If you had a few more players in the team with the same mentality, it might be helpful. But as well too, the other side of it, talking a little bit about the Bada one, Paul, and even the Maeda one, they were nowhere to be seen at times. But it's the pace of the play is so slow. When Celtic play quick, that was half the benefit of having Maeda or a Bada.
Did we see that a lot of times as well last season, Terence, from these players? Do you know what I mean? You know?
Yeah, you did at times, but if you're playing at a fast pace and you're putting the ball into space for Maeda or putting the ball into space for a Bada, they were generally crossing it in. Not necessarily always good, but like if you look at how many times a Bada crossed the ball in for Kyogo in the 6-yard box and Kyogo converted a good few of them, it was a hell of a lot. But you're asking a guy to beat a defender. Like, some of them aren't good enough to do that. They just don't have that in their armour.
Like another team, just a point there, Mark, that Terence is saying about space. I don't even see that from players. You know, like that's your bread and butter of football, Mark. You always kind of look for space to receive the ball. I don't see that at the moment.
No.
You know.
No, just what I was saying about
static or something, Mark. They just look static.
Well, we were sitting watching that game yesterday, and see every time Celtic get the ball and were pushing forward, we knew exactly what they were going to do. Until Yang went off, it was all going to Yang, and then when a Bada came on, it just seemed to all get wide to a Bada.
Yeah,
it's just, and it's if you're sitting watching that, the opposition players they can tell what's going to happen before. Do you know what I mean? They can tell as well, and that's the thing about it. It's like we'll just try the same thing over and over again. Hoping it works once.
There's no zip to it, Mark. There's no zip to it. Like the definition of stupidity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And that's what they're trying to do. There's no, like, anytime Celtic played well last year, or we were raving about them last year, every single game, the pace was through the roof. Uh-huh. Whether the ball was gone into touch, whether the ball was gone for a goal kick, the pace of the ball was flying it. It's walking pace, and it's been walking pace in every game. Yeah. I get your point, Mark, that players have a certain responsibility to pick up the pace, but there are clearly instructions there as well, Mark, that the centre backs are to play the ball over and back, and to the full backs and over and back, and waiting for a gap or waiting for something. There must be, because you can't go from what they were doing to what they are doing, and the managers sit there and think that's all okay.
Well, I could agree to that, right? That this passing the ball between the defenders is a kind of a Roger style to like it would have worked in the Premier League, you know, and to draw out the other team turns. Do you get me?
Yeah,
you know?
But they're not in Scotland.
But they're going to sit back in Scotland. They're going to let you have the ball there. You know, they let you have the ball there. Yeah,
they're very comfortable. But it's very similar. It's very similar to the way Celtic are playing now to the way Rodgers finished. When Rodgers finished and left in the middle of the night with his toothbrush and the whole lot, Celtic were playing a very, very similar style of football to what they are now. It wasn't fast. It was like from season 1 to season 3, whatever he was there. Like it got slower and slower and slower. And it's very, very similar to that level that they're at now. And it's very, very, like, how many times have we seen Celtic so far go on the break, if the opposition are attacking and Celtic win the ball, there was times yesterday Celtic made a break, and as soon as it went to midfield or Turnbull or someone like that, it was stopped, it was slowed down, it was turned around, and the first instinct was back to one of the centre backs.
Yeah, that's
every time. Yeah, but the first impression the majority of times is hold the ball, don't give it away, turn instead of like trying a pass, try to put it into try attack the opposition, try play the ball forward. It just seems to be we'll hold the ball. Like you got out the stats there, Paul, 700 and odd passes, but how many of them are inside in Celtic's half? Like,
but we raved about the amount of passing and that when under Ange when he was breaking world records with 1,000 odd passes a game. Barcelona used to do. Yeah. But a lot of them terms were the same kind of passes.
Oh, I'm not disputing it.
Possession's sake.
I'm not disputing that, Mark. 100% they were, and as I said, like back in the Spurs managers' days, it wasn't always attacking amazing every week. There was plenty of weeks where it was fairly drab, but the intent from the players was a lot better back then. The intent was always to try and go forward. It's way more. It's a lot slower now. It just appears to me to be an awful lot slower, and an awful lot more. It's a very, very specific kind of build up and pass and move and pass, and there's not a lot of movement in front. There's very little movement in front. Paul mentioned it there a while ago. There aren't players bursting into space and the opposition are just loving it because the two centre backs are just picking up Kyogo and going, right, we have him, but they're going to pass it out wide to one of the boys. They're going to whip it in. We'll head it away, and that's what that's what two oppositions have done in the last two games. Like,
Glasgow Derby there.
I don't think that's a new guy, Paul. Evening, mate. Glasgow Rebel. Thanks very much for coming in. Nice to see you, bud.
So is it evident that it's kind of down to the players rather than the style? It's a good point, Mark. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I agree with that. I'm not saying Brendan Rodgers hasn't made a couple of mistakes or whatever, trying to get his own style and that into the team, but Paul, it still comes back to the fact that they're professional football players getting paid. They're the highest paid players in Scotland, and it was them. Without harping on about it, if you're creating 19 chances, Paul, and only 5 of them's on target, and you've not scored a goal, how was Brendan Rodgers meant to change that? Unless he does get a more prolific striker in, or whatever you want to call it.
Well, Mark, we've said that. We've said that for the last 2 seasons. The amount of chances Celtic score, we should be scoring more goals. Is that somebody
put up there about Kyogo's? I can't even to put up about Kyogo's goal scoring last season and said if he hasn't get injured, he'd have scored more.
Yeah, but we played the stupid way, Mark, to include Kyogo into a play.
Aye, but without even that, if he get injured, they'd have scored more goals than the Lee Griffiths. Was it 46 or something he scored? But see, to the same extent, Kyogo should have scored a hell of a lot more. He should have, even with that injury, he should have had a hell of a lot more goals in that last season. The chances, and it wasn't half chances. A lot of them were pure absolute sitters. They really were. Evening, Mikey. Nice to see you, bud.
Do you know what's kind of? I don't know. Is the team doesn't look fit? Is that just me, or what do you think that, Terence?
No, it's a very fair point, Paul. To me, I just think they look lost. I genuinely just think they look lost. I just think players in the pitch don't know what they're meant to be doing. I don't know why. I don't know why, because it shouldn't be that complicated. If he's thrown out the blueprint of the old manager and wants to do it his way, then fair enough. But it just, I don't know. Players on the pitch just don't seem to know what to do. There's no one showing for the ball. You're watching times where the centre back is coming out with the ball and he's looking for someone, and you see him and there's no one, and he's passing it to the other centre back and he's passing it back. And I don't know. I get your point, Paul, with the fitness, but I don't know. It's a strange one. I just think the players are lost, and maybe maybe it could be partly down to fitness. But if it is, Paul, it's fairly shocking because there's no reason that a professional footballer shouldn't be bouncing fit. Like that's their job.
I'm going to say there that that Anton McLean fella has left. Yeah, but Rogers brought in his own sports science fella, lines and stuff like that. He's been with Rogers since the Swansea days. So
I know, but Paul, the majority of the people that are there were there from last year, like Gavin Strachan and John Kennedy and the other individuals that are there. Like, it's a professional footballer. Well, you know whether they're fit or they're not fit. Like, I mean, this is what they get paid big money for. Like, you know, the idea that you need a sports science guy to say, well, he's not, he can't get around, or he can't get around, or he can't get around. They're going to be, the sports science team's going to be a big team anyway, Paul. And they're all these monitors on their jerseys or their wear the things on the chest. They'll tell them how much they've run and how much they've done all the stuff. So there should be no issue with any of that. Like,
even Liam Doyle, thanks very much for joining us, mate. Nice to see you in again.
Just going back to
Celtic. Wait, hold on the now, Paul. I've put up my screen there for Celtic FC. You'll never walk alone. We want to blame anybody.
Yeah, that's what I was going to read out.
Aye. Brendan Rodgers didn't have a say the way Ange did if he really wanted to take the club to the next level. See that? Right, Ange should have same signings, right? And Rodgers will probably have as much say. Right? I don't think he came across the way you meant it to be. But there's nobody in this world that can tell me that Ange signed Juranovic, Ange picked Matt O'Reilly, Ange picked Alistair Johnson, Ange picked Starfelt, Ange picked Carter Vickers or Jota or anybody. There's no way in the world that Ange came in there and says, oh, there's a guy playing for Benfica, the reserves called Jota.
I think what kind of Roger was kind of pointing out there, Mark, was that he kind of wants one or two kind of more experienced players that can come into this young team. And I think that's kind of what Roger was getting at, was it?
Aye. But when he came out last week and says he works with the players the club give him. There's been a bit, for me, there's been a bit of overreaction to that. Because just because Ange never came out and said such a thing, it doesn't mean it wasn't happening under Ange, happening under Ronnie. But do you know what I mean? There's no point in hiring all these scouts and guys like Mark Will and that if you're not going to use them. So all this is, you can't see a lot of the good players we've got at Celtic. It's not really much. Well, Ange obviously managed them and made them better players, but them actually being there, it's nothing much to do with Ange. Do you get what I mean? It's like Dembele. Dembele would have been at Celtic whether Brendan Rodgers was the manager or no.
Mm-hmm. But do you think, Mark, that, and it's a very fair point what you're saying, but do you think under the Spurs manager basically, maybe I'm going to say this wrong, didn't ask players to do things they couldn't do?
Yeah.
As opposed to the current manager that is asking players to do certain things that they clearly aren't able to do.
He insisted Joe Hart kick the ball out from the ground.
Kyogo's the best for the King of Kings. Oof.
Didn't he though, Terence?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Ange insisted that, you know.
But that's all I'm asking, Mark. Did the Spurs manager ask the players, he wanted to play a specific system, and for argument's sake, did he go, well, okay, like, this is the way I want to play. I know you can play this way. I know you can play that way. Was he asking them to do a certain thing that they basically, like, is Rodgers asking players to do something that they just can't do? A lot of the players. Or am I just basically miles off the mark?
What could he possibly be asking them to do, Terence?
Well, I don't know. For argument's sake, I would just use the example, the fullbacks and the wingers. Say he's asking the wingers to get down and whip the balls in. He's asking the fullbacks to get down and whip the balls in. I'm just using that as an argument. We all know Moyed isn't able to do that well. He's not very good at it, generally speaking. Greg Taylor can't get up and down. Generally, one of his limitations that you would say about the guy is up and down the park as an overlapping fullback. I'm just using that as an example. And maybe Abad is probably a better crosser than Moyed, but I don't know. I'm just using that as an example, Mark. Or like, are they? I don't know. Is he just basically bombing it past the midfield? Is he bombing it past the midfield? He's asking Kyogo to come back as a number 10 role, flick the ball off, and then get back into the box in time for the cross. Is he asking guys to do things that they've never done or they're not able to do? I don't know, but it's hard to see that probably 8 players that started yesterday would have probably started under the former manager, and you'd rarely seen a performance like you've seen in the first 3 or 4 games from them. It's just, I don't know.
Aye, no, I know what you're meaning. Aye, it's
I probably haven't explained it very well, but
aye, no, it's hard. I know what you mean. Aye, it's hard to put it into words. Aye, I mean, well, Taylor, when he came in, he was always getting tortured off a lot of Celtic support when he was playing the overlapping role. And then he came in, done the inverted role, and still get pelters off a lot of them, and now he's getting pelters again. Do you know, as some players, no matter what the day turns, they're always got to take dogs abuse.
Oh, like Starfelt, I know what you're saying. It was like Starfelt.
Aye.
But what I'm saying is, Greg Taylor in the inverted full-back role was like a different guy compared to Greg Taylor. If his thing is to get down the line and overlap, and he can't do that. If it's just look, as you said a while ago, like the player being 5'5" and asking him to be the whatever it was. I'm not sure if that was directed at me, by the way. But if that was a Haaland role, but I'm just saying if Greg Taylor struggles to do that, and you're asking him to do that, are you? I don't know. Are you asking someone to do something that they physically can't do? Like,
maybe.
And is he asking a number of players in the pitch to do things that they physically can't do? I don't know. But it just doesn't. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me the dip in form of so many players so quickly. Like,
good point.
They did only draw, but still only drew a game. That's the thing about it. I see some of their actions to it. Fair dues last week, the cup was poor. Right, but we got to that Kilmarnock, and it's a lottery. It really is. We got with the pitch. Right, people say it's no an excuse. That pitch is shocking and shouldn't have been the fit, but we're not even getting back into that.
Ross, you're getting injured in the last couple of seconds on it, Mark.
But it's like, I mean, just yesterday we drew with St Johnstone. They were the worst team in the league and all this part and stuff like that. But it was still only a draw.
But it's not
any other game. It could have been 4-5, easily.
I get you, but it's not this isn't just a reaction to yesterday, Mark. In the first 4 games, competitive games that they've played so far this year, like there's none of them that you'd say
we've only lost one.
I know we've only lost. I understand that. I know we only lost. I only lost one. But what I'm trying to say is, like, if you look at the games, would you say, like, Ross County, it was 4-2. That's a game that they should have won 5 or 6-0. If you look at the goals and the way they concede goals and the whole, I think they've struggled in all the games so far. I just genuinely think they've struggled as a team.
Oh, they're not their best. I'm not saying that by a long shot, really. But it's just
something's not right.
And I think the next many days is left in this window, 4 or 5 or something. I think this will be a kind of better, once the window's shut, we'll have a better kind of idea of where it's a team and what kind of way we'll be going forward as a team. But I mean, I'm maybe being a bit naive, and I'm just pinning my hopes on in the next few days we get some quality players in that kind of do what we've been wanting them to do for the window opened and what we expected the kind of signings to come in and do. Do you know what I mean? I mean, we're sitting there talking about he keeps getting home. It's all just projects and that. But Jota was a project. Carter Vickers was a project. They 2 were signed on the last day of the season, the last day of the window.
Oh yeah, listen, look, I'm not worried about the project side of things, because I mean, Yang and Holm are 2 quality players.
Well, that's what I was going to say next. Look at Holm and Yang. The 2 of them do look apart from what we've seen for them. And how do we know that the Australian guys not got to come in and run amok? We don't know.
But you'd ask the question then, Mark, how come the young Norwegian lad doesn't get on ahead of Turnbull?
Do you know?
Maybe Rodgers just know.
I'll have a meltdown.
Maybe Rodgers just doesn't think he's just quite there, ready to start yet.
Look, that's fair enough. But I'm just saying, from a visual point of view, every time you look at him,
definitely. But
his first touch is always into space. He looks comfortable. He looks quality. He's got a little bit of that muscle about him. He's well able to win a ball. He's a good tackler. You're thinking something that Celtic need and allow maybe McGregor to move up a little bit more, up the pitch, because I'm not. It's not a David Turnbull bashing thing or anything like that. But McGregor and Turnbull are far too similar to have two of them in the same team, and I think they get in each other's way half the time, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, love it. There's agree with listen, guys. The spine of the team was missing last year. Bound to affect the team. No, Hatase, Vickers, Joshua Stafford. Well, they're gone. Injuries too, Mark, play a lot. Do you think that kind of plays a lot? The way we're playing at the moment, all the injuries.
Well, I mean, who would you really say we're missing, Paul?
Vickers, really. Natase.
But that is not starting.
We kept a clean sheet yesterday. Which,
Yeah,
again,
true.
I know, I mean, you've got the defence. I mean, Scales had a couple of scary moments in that. Hartpult is out the hole a couple of times. But again, and I know, and Mike will go nuts at me for saying this, we've all been writing off Hart, but I've said it for years as well. See, a Celtic goalkeeper, they've not got much today in games when we're playing the domestic game. They've maybe one or two saves to make, and that's a kind of sign of a good keeper. When it comes to one or two chances that the opposition get, they pull off the saves. So
those two saves were the difference, Mark.
I'd probably even give Hart pass marks yesterday as well. Just for the actual two saves.
It's funny how everyone is missing Starfield all of a sudden when he's gone. The guy who got pelters week in, week out. And even when there was goals that wasn't his fault, he still got blamed for it. And as soon as he goes, God, we're missing Starfield, something terrible.
Aye.
It's hilarious.
It's looking ahead for the
fickleness. Is that the word?
Very, very, very fickle. The longer you're out of the Celtic team or away from the Celtic team, the better a player you are.
That's true.
Robert Baker was saying why Iwasa isn't getting a game in the midfield. It's mind blowing, Robert. Like we discussed it there on the show there, myself, Mark and Terence, that going into the derby next week, I'd either start Iwasa or Hlom in that role to have a bit of physicality in that midfield, Mark, one of the two. I'd be very worried if Turnbull started that. If that was the staying midfield going into derby next week, Mark, I wouldn't feel comfortable with that midfield going into next week.
I don't think he should, Paul, but I honestly think he'll start Turnbull.
Yeah,
I do too. I think we'll start the exact same.
There, Mikey piping up. I knew to somebody say about Hart there. Aye, see that Vakovic went for 5.7 million.
Oh, the Croatian guy, is it?
Aye.
5.7 Mark, yeah.
I think they're giving him 50 odd grand a week or something like that, meant to be into it. So again,
but you said it though, Mark. If you said it before, the wages shouldn't be a problem for Celtic in that regard. I mean, you've got enough deadwood to get rid of all the for argument's sake, you get rid of Seagrass, McCarthy, Sorrow, and you mentioned someone else there a while ago. For argument's sake, you get rid of 3 or 4 guys. A Yeti's on like probably 20 grand a week, if not more. It could be on more because he was a big sign. But suppose even they're all on 10 grand a week, and they're probably some of them are on a lot more than that. That's like 40 grand. They're surplus to requirements. They're going to do zip for Celtic. They're not going to contribute any bit. So you get rid of 4 of them. For argument's sake, there's 40 grand. All of a sudden, that's 40 grand towards a good player. Like, we've had this discussion, but it doesn't seem to be the case that they want to do that. Like,
no, because you said you get rid of all these players' terms, you've got 40 grand there spare basically. So why not? Then you're only actually giving a guy 15 grand a week to actually get him to sign.
Exactly, yeah. And this notion that you need a squad of, for argument's sake, 20, 30 players or however many players in a squad, like, as I said, like, ridiculous. Like, I mean, there's like, what, five, sort of 16 men basically involved every weekend, give or take. I know there's extra on the subs, but like, you've got 11 starting and you've got 5 subs. I mean, the notion that you need 30 odd guys in a squad, I don't understand it. When some of them haven't kicked the ball in, like, God knows how long for Celtic. No, they're all just taking a wage. Why not trim it down by 4, 5, 6 players? Like, as Paul made a very valid point there a couple of weeks ago, there was like 5 goalkeepers on the books at one stage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, it's so, some of it when you look at it, you're kind of going, you know, there's guys earning a great living doing nothing. Like,
I know, aye. I'm quite happy to do it.
yeah,
Seagrass, they're another one. I mean, how many months
that's what
ago
I'm saying.
was it?
Seagrass, yeah.
How many months
Well,
ago was it for Seagrass
That
came
fella
out
from
and said,
Southampton, anyway, I can tell you that because he's after landed in Qatar
aye,
for medical. So, you know,
Who's this?
that boy for Southampton we were meant to be looking at defender terms.
Oh, yeah, I know the guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's after landing in Qatar, so we won't be going for him, you know.
But I mean, Seagrass came out months ago and said that he wanted to move to Australia, and yet he's still there. What's
if I was the board, Mark, I'd say to him, like, get out your age, man. You don't want to be here. You know, like, get
pay
your
him
deal
off.
done. Yeah.
But Paul, I was going to say that. I was going to say, pay them all off. The majority of them, if they can, Mark, get rid of them. Get rid of as many as you can. If you can pay them off and take a bit of a hit, in the long run, it'll benefit you. Because if you've got a guy who's got...
Yes, he refused that, Mark, though, didn't he?
He's on huge money, though, Paul.
I think he's just playing the game with... there's a team in Switzerland that are meant to be wanting him, but I think he's just trying to play the game to try and get as much money off of Celtic as he kind of can, Paul. Which, but as a Celtic fan, it's a bit of a scumbag move for the amount of work he's actually put in at Celtic.
Exactly,
but he's entitled to do it anyway. And do you know what I mean?
You're going to give him the contract, you know what I mean? So that's Celtic Spurs.
There's still one of these craziest things, Daddy level
Mark,
isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We had him lined up my loan and all of a sudden, what was it, £5.5 million or something?
Yeah. And a big wage to go with it.
I mean, we paid off Barkas. Took your hat with him.
Yeah, but I think Barkas as well, though, at the time as well, Mark was willing to take that hit, like, you know, just to get out of the club. What do you know?
Aye, but you know what I think it basically was that was it Utrecht? That's what he went to.
Yeah.
I don't think he could afford his wages and his contract and like any kind of fee for Celtic. I don't think they're like a very, very rich club or that, and I think Celtic just said to the guy, look, it's no worked out, mate.
Best for everyone, yeah, exactly.
We'll give you X amount, mate, and you can just go and that's your free agent. You can go and join that Utrecht. Because they did want to sign him and he wanted to move there. It was just the Utrecht director came out and even said at the time that they couldn't afford the deal. So, fair dues, it's just one of these things, you know what I mean?
Looking ahead for the derby there, we just get the live chat going there and their predicted 11, what they'll be hoping, and, you know...
Hope it gets called up.
No, right, first off, Paul, what's your team for Sunday?
That's what I'm asking the live chat. There to do. Yeah.
Right, well, you get yours out first then, big boss.
I'm gonna go hard. I think if we don't sign a defender, we might do. I think if we sign a new centre back, I think they'll be straight into that centre back line. But if we don't, it's going to be the back four that started yesterday, right? I think I would like to see Awasa, O'Reilly, McGregor, Abada, Yang, and Kyogo. That's what I go.
What was your three midfielders there?
O'Reilly, Owasa, and McGregor.
That's no bad. What about you, Ter?
Well, what I would like and what I think are two totally different things. But what I think he's going to play,
exactly.
What I think he's going to play is, I think he's going to play what Paul said, Hart. It'll be the normal Johnson, Taylor, Scales, the Swedish lad Hart. If we don't sign a centre back, I think he's going to start Turnbull, McGregor, and O'Reilly. And I think it's basically Yang, I actually wouldn't be surprised if he started Maeda, Abada, and Kyogo and didn't start Yang. It would not surprise me one little bit.
Do you know what though?
2 seconds, Paul. Evening, James Clydesdale. Thanks very much for coming in, mate. Nice to see you, bud.
You make a
Tommy
good
Burns. I don't think I've. Thomas, sorry if I didn't give you a shout out there, mate. Thomas Burns. Nice to see you, mate.
I'd throw Palmer if he gets
Aye.
Rebel.
Well, it's got to be him or Yang into on that left hand side. If he comes in, I would throw Palmer in. I'm quite impressed with, but again, it's just YouTube videos and stuff.
I know, Mark. You could pick clips out of YouTube. Do you know?
And what I did notice, Paul, is that he's kind of dead ball set pieces stuff. That's something that we've really been missing.
I play him just
to
let him score against them because they were after him at the start of the season, the transwind, and
that kind of one of the written in the stars things, isn't it? That he comes off the bench and scores.
Yeah,
but,
Michael B will go 2 moles then if he scores against them.
I mean, how many corners did we have yesterday?
Shocking.
Must have 15, I'd say, did they?
Couldn't beat the first man, Mark. We couldn't beat the first man.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Every header they won in the box. Every time the cross came in from a corner, St Johnstone guy got the head in it every time. I can't remember a Celtic guy getting a head in.
That's one thing I don't like about this Celtic team, and it's the same under Ange. Is it must be the smallest Celtic squad that I've ever seen. You know.
Oh, height wise.
Yeah.
Height wise, Mark. Yeah.
I'd agree with that. I mean, even Paul for like corners and stuff like that, it's like you're looking at your centre backs and people that to come up and get goals. Carter Vickers.
Mark, you asked me last week
as well.
And I remember the last time Celtic scored, and I went back to it against Hearts at the start of the season when Welch scored a goal from a header, and that's the last goal I can remember Celtic scored from a corner.
Yeah. But one of the tallest guys.
Sorry, Terrell, bud.
Sorry, I was just going to say, one of the tallest guys in the team is the guy taking the corner.
Aye.
You know,
what is that all about?
He has the best distribution, Mark, out of the lot of them, I said. And he couldn't even beat the first man.
But Paul, how hard is it to just put a cross into the box for a corner? So you just put into that kind of danger area, and you look for your centre backs and people that, do you know what I mean? You're not Celtic set pieces, even under Ange, they were absolutely shocking. And see for a guy like Ange that kind of wanted to micromanage every aspect of the actual game, but they're even working on set pieces.
Yeah, but even where the crosses go from the corners, every one of them are inside the 6-yard box.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what's the problem with kind of hitting between the penalty box and the 6-yard box? That you know you're not making it bread and butter for the keeper. That the keeper's not sure whether he's going to come or he's going to come.
Come onto the ball, then Terrence.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but all the crosses yesterday were inside the 6-yard box. So their defender in the near post predominantly got a head to it, or if he didn't, the keeper got a fist to it or a hand to it or something. You know, what's wrong with keeping it away from the keeper? Like, I mean, just supposed to be, you know, it's madness. Like
that was another. How many times early gears have we sat there on their live chat and that? And keepers did they keepers have just did the game of their life, and I thought that guy done that again yesterday.
Oh, he did, yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
I mean, so many times have we sort of spoke about it. We come up against these keepers that are honking, and yet they seem to pull out the kind of performances of their life against Celtic.
But there was a combination, though, Mark, with some really good saves and terrible misses.
Yeah, Terence, I was just about to say that. Do you know, it's a combination of good saves and bad misses as well by us. Like, you know, like.
I mean, if O'Reilly
puts those chances away,
yeah.
You know,
if O'Reilly lifts any of those off the ground, it's a goal. If any of them are off to come off the ground, it's a goal. Especially probably the one in, I don't know which one it was, where it was squared across him and he came onto the run of it. And like it's not in the like the keeper's making a save going into the corner. The keeper's making a decent save, to get me wrong, but it's pretty much it's near him or very close to him. Do you know what I mean? It's not. I don't know. Well, the keeper didn't save St Johnstone. I agree with you, but
have any of you saw this other fella play? Actually, I haven't because I was away. The fella Keown, the other South Korean fella.
He played at the start, Paul, and he was a bit all over the place. There was a bit of rabbit in the headlights now. The first game or two he played, I saw him in one of the friendlies. You know, he was like, there was a bit of the old Bambi on ice there for a while, to be fair with him.
Yeah,
you know,
We've not really
he was
seen
early
enough
doors.
of him we've not really seen enough of him to write
To judge him, no.
for that.
No, but he's not. But what I'm saying, Mark, is he had a bad early showing, and he's basically been kind of right. Okay, you sit down there. You sit down there with that. We'll leave you for another while. And he's not likely to get a show because he's a defensive midfielder by all accounts. So, like, he's obviously going to be behind the great David Turnbull. He's obviously going to be behind Holm. He's probably going to be behind Awata. So I'm only guessing, but you know, he's obviously gone down the pecking order. Is he going to get a chance? Who knows?
I think young Ben Summers went out on loan, Mark Summer, didn't he?
Dunfermline.
Aye.
He went out on loan, yeah.
No, what I was thinking yesterday as well while I was watching the game. See, for next week at Ibrox, how about trying AJ in at the centre back?
Well, do you know, I was actually going to say that, Mark, because AJ actually played.
He's played there a few times. He's played there. He spoke about it when he first came in, Paul. Did he know? Yeah,
he played. He can play the centre back role as well. And then he's a bit of physique as well, Mark, to play that role, doesn't he? You know.
Aye.
He's a tough nut, to be fair to him.
Eric Dyer. Would you take Eric Dyer?
Yeah, why not?
The situation we're in, Mark, I probably would, yeah. You know.
Take Eric Cantona at this stage.
Oh, don't do that, man.
Even now.
I think, Mark, for the situation we're in, Mark, I probably would, like. Would you?
Good night, Brian. Thanks very much for listening and all your support, mate. We really appreciate it, bud. Good night. I would take Dyer.
Yeah.
I would too, yeah.
The
guy played for Premier League for that long, like.
That's what I've just got to say to you. He don't play in the pub league for 15,000 years and no be half decent. So I mean, even like that kind of experience. I mean, even it's a bit like a Joe Hart type of signing, maybe, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Look at. I'm not comparing like with like, but look at Chris Sutton, Scott Sinclair. You know, all these boys were down there and they struggled. I'm not saying Eric Dyer struggled because he's been in the Spurs team for as long as I can remember. You know what I mean? I mean, and a guy like that, he's a good few caps, to be fair, for England. What, like, would I rather him play centre back or Liam Scales play centre back? I'd rather him play centre back.
Yeah, exactly, boy. Exactly. Spurs fans think he's shit. Sure, they thought Andrew was shit as well. That's what they did. Sure,
who cares what Spurs fans think, man? They're shit. Tin pot fucking league club. They're just another club that just think they're massive because of that league, and they're no. Do you know what I mean?
Interesting point here, but I love it there about Brendan Rodgers' comments yesterday after the game. If Rodgers said the team was not quick enough, then why start Turnbull as the fast game passes him by? You know, that's an interesting point.
But if Rodgers has come out and said the team's not quick enough, then that blows it in the face that it's his system that's slowing it down, does it not?
I don't know. I don't know.
Rodgers has come out and said that. Do you know what I mean? Sorry. The team's not quick enough. Well, that's obviously not Rodgers that's telling him he's played this slow slow tempo. And if he's not happy with it, basically he's come out and said the exact same as us. He's not happy with how quick they're playing the game and stuff like that. Yeah,
but Mark, we've said that numerous of times about the players, Mark, where they turn up for games. Do you know what I mean? The slow tempo. We've said that under Ange, Mark. It looked very like Neil Lennon and very slow.
The last 6 months under Ange was a bit turgid, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was, and that's what I'm saying. I was saying that as well a while ago, Mark. I wasn't saying it was all Gardner Road as well, like, you know, no question about it. But if Rodgers is saying that, and Paul's point is bang on, if Rodgers is saying this is the problem, like, you have to turn around and go, but you're picking Turnbull every week, mate. You're the one. like you watch when Hatate came on, and like when it whipped Turnbull off against Aberdeen.
The tempo stepped up.
Yeah, and Hatate comes on. Hatate's more of a one-touch turn. You know, even sometimes it's no touch. It's just first-time ball. Turnbull is more of a 4, 5, 6, 10 touch kind of guy. You know, like, so I mean, if you want to play that way, surely to God you go right. Get that young Norwegian lad and that Holm fella in midfield, who his first impression is his touch is into space and is always driving forward. And say to McGregor, I need you to move forward. He'll cover here. You drive on with O'Reilly, and you try and get up and down as much as you can. You know, I mean, that has to be down to the manager, Mark, if he's saying it's a slow pace of play and you're putting David Turnbull in there. Do you know what I mean? That's on him, surely.
I suppose when you put it like that, I know what you mean. I'm picking Turnbull, but still to the same extent, Terence. If Rodgers isn't happy, the same as the fans, he's not happy with the tempo and the way that the pace that they're playing at either. So it's not as if he's saying to them, right, just pass the ball about. It's hearing. It's hard.
I know what you're saying.
It's hard to put it into words. I mean, imagine a manager just turning around his two centre backs and saying, right, see when you
keep doing the same,
just pass it to him. It's hard to compute that in your mind. Any football manager turning to say that, isn't it?
Oh, it is. But the other side of it, they're not. The other side of it, though, Mark, is like at no stage it rarely does in the games has the tempo. Like if it has been very slow, has it gone from one half to the other half, and all of a sudden it's just basically it's cranked up 3 or 4 notches. It hasn't in many of the games that I've watched. Mm-hmm. You know, even as I said, to bring back the example, Celtic breaking for the last 2 years, if they were on the break, it was rapid, and they scored some cracking goals on the break. Celtic's first thought at the minute is when they win the ball and the opposition up there and they break, it's not to ping it to one of the wingers or get it to the wingers as they can and everyone bursting forward. It's just keep possession.
A lot of, like, in the early days, Terence, when Ange came in, we kind of said the players were kind of overthinking to stay in this inverted full back. Would you think maybe that's what's happening now in the Rodgers? They're thinking what their position is, and that's why they're taking these extra touches and stuff like that?
I don't know, Mark, or Paul, I should say. I don't know. Maybe it is, but like it's like Mark said a while ago, Paul. These aren't 18 and 19-year-old guys on the pitch. Like, do you know what I mean? These are like that Celtic team. As I said, there's 8 of them there that would have been playing for the last 2 seasons or so, give or take. Do you know, if you win the ball in your own box and the opposition are off the opposition and you're on the break, you don't need a manager to tell you how to play on the break. Like, if you do, there's something seriously wrong with you. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, it's very concerning there. You know, John Fitzgibbons is saying it's a perfect storm, crap window, poor start to the season. Fans getting on the manager's back. Yeah, could look at that, you know, but we have 5 days to kind of get players in, and I'd be confident that we get players in. Terence, do you?
I'm confident they'll get players in, Paul, but I don't know what level of player they'll get in. That's what the question I would ask, because whatever they've got to bring in my opinion, has to be at least as good as, potentially better than what's already there. There's no point bringing in someone that's like, if they're going to bring in a centre midfielder, he has to be a centre midfielder that's going to start on next weekend. If they're bringing in a centre back, he has to be better than what's there. If they're bringing in a centre forward, he needs to be better than what's there. They've already brought in 5 or 6 or 7 guys that are squad players, so to speak. The next 2 or 3, if they're going to bring in, or 4 or 5, need to be guys that go, right, yeah, he's better than Abada. He's a right wing, I can put him straight in. He's better than Kyogo, I can put him in there. He's better than David Turnbull, I can put him in there. That's what they need. They don't need any more additions to build up the squad for me. They need to be first team starters for me.
Mm-hmm. I'm not panicking just yet. You know, it's just my opinion. I still think it's early days. Look, I'd be happy if we came out of iBox next week, Terence, with a draw. You know,
I'd say there's more chance of me growing a ponytail now than that happening.
You know, I don't know. Like, you know, I think
Hold on, Paul, 2 minutes. Evening, Jockney, mate. Thanks very much for coming in. Jockney's quite a big name on the YouTube. No, he's not got the no Celtic stuff now, but he's quite a big name on the YouTube. So thanks very much for coming in, Jockney. Nice to see you, mate.
I was just saying there, Mark. Look, I'm not in the panic stage yet. I think it's
neither am I. I'm waiting till the window shuts, Paul. That's when I'll start.
But you know, when the window closes, right? It closes at 12 o'clock next Friday. When does the player has to be registered if they could play Sunday? What's the deadline for that?
I think it's 24 hours before kick-off, Paul.
So that
if the same players like Friday with the window shut, now they'll be eligible to playing. In fact, did the window actually shut? When does it actually shut, Paul?
Friday at 12 o'clock a.m. Friday night at 12 o'clock, Mark, it shuts.
Is it? Because I'm thinking, it's... What day is that? That's Friday. Because I'm thinking then...
That's Saturday morning, isn't it?
Aye, will that not affect it? Because it's a business day, isn't it, on the Saturday?
It's not a working day, so to speak. Saturday wouldn't be deemed as a working day, would it really? You know what I mean? Yeah. But surely if you sign a player, if Celtic going to sign a player at near the deadline day, and if they know that that's the situation, surely Celtic sign that player Friday morning and get him registered and get him done and dusted before the end of the working day.
Just to go on, Martin, I love it. They're saying Thursday at midnight. I just checked that it's actually Sky Sports are saying it's actually Friday.
It's Friday. I've just looked at it.
It's Friday. You know,
so it's Thursday night, basically Friday morning. So it's 12 o'clock Friday night or Friday morning, so to speak. Is it?
Friday,
what you're saying?
September the 1st. Midnight and Friday it will be for school.
Yeah,
like Friday. Yeah. You know. Mark, you still haven't given us your starting 11 for next week.
Who do you think he's going to start now, Mark? Not what you think you'd like to start. Who do you think he will start?
Timo Horn will be in goal. David De Gea will be in goal.
Lovely.
It'll be hard, obviously. But I think he'll start. I think it's going to be AJ, Lager, Bielka. I don't know. Is he going to go with Scales? That's the one position that I can't. Do you know what I mean? Are we going to somebody else we can put in there? That's maybe where we would put in like a new centre back if we got them in. Evening, John Fitzsimmons. Nice to see you again, mate. Thanks very much for coming in. But if it's going to be Scales unless it's a new signing, the midfield three, I think he's going to go with O'Reilly, McGregor, and Turnbull, and I think it'll be Maeda on the right.
Yang.
I don't know if he would start Yang, but I think he should. I think he should. That's the one position I would actually go with that. But I think Yang. I think the guy done enough yesterday to earn a start at Ibrox next week to see what he can actually do.
That's actually scary. Like if he starts with that, midfield is more concerning to me.
And I mean, I'm not meaning this to kind of sound any kind of racist way you're that, right? But see, one of the things with playing guys like Yang in that, it's no Celtic fans that are there, but these guys don't understand anything. They don't know what Rangers fans are shouting or singing. It's just a noise to them. But so maybe no effect. I hope that didn't come across as racist terms. You know what I mean?
No, it didn't. I know. You're what you're saying is bang on. Those guys are the Asian lads seem to be so, tunnel vision and very focused on what they're doing. He won't have a Scoobies what you man to shout at him there.
Aye. It's if it goes out for a throw in or a corner and Yang goes out to take it, and they could be calling anything under the sun. It's not going to make any difference to him. He's not got a clue what they're doing. They could be as well just cheering them on and saying, "Mon big man, gives a goal." Do you know that kind of thing?
Do you know does the lad? When I don't know, does the lad speak English?
I don't think so.
Doesn't so he doesn't speak English and he's supposed to understand the fella from Glasgow. There's no chance he's going to understand what you're saying.
For all he knows, Mark, he probably thinks they're asking him for a selfie and he's going up next to him asking for a selfie.
Aye, but that's the thing about it. If you're they're booing me. They'll be care. They can be shouting and screaming all they want. I don't see as well. I don't believe. I've never really bought into that. It's like players going about, the atmosphere at Celtic Park drives you on and that. We'll see if the atmosphere at Celtic Park drives you on. Next week at Ibrox will make you shite your pants then, should it no?
Podence is a game changer for Rebel 86. You know, I think that's a sign if we could get that done.
He'd be a cracking signing, definitely.
They're saying 17 million or something.
Yeah, but see, what's happening now, Terence, is that no one is kind of going in from at the moment for that price. So Celtic are hoping that there's a chance for negotiating a different deal, you know.
Yeah, will Celtic still pay 10 or 12 million from my thought? I heard talks today had initially apparently alleged offer of like 8.5 million when the figure was apparently 12. So I don't know how true any of that is, like, but you just see stuff up on Celtic transfer news.
It's like Tierney. It's like see if the window went, see if it got to Friday and Tierney was still at Arsenal. There's a good chance that Tierney could have ended up at Celtic.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like Wolves weren't ready Podence to know the price they want is 12 million, but they hope a Japanese team or somebody in Europe comes in.
Saudi, I'd say.
So see if it comes in. Saudi, see come Friday or Thursday and Friday, if he's not got a new team, Wolves will be like, oh, what's going on here?
Yes.
Would they be open to Celtic offering him an option to buy him? We'll give you 7 million, 7.5 million for him next summer.
Yeah, hopefully.
There was a new signing, Tilio, like any word when he's expected back or something. Or?
I see did I know he was back in training, probably AJ? I thought I read he came back, he was back in training.
Yeah,
Alistair Johnson came back.
Yeah, I'm actually hearing good things about him, like, so, you know, it's another player back, like, you know what I mean? So, you know.
I'm looking forward to seeing him playing. I'm looking forward to seeing him, but just even what you see about the guy, like Australian fans on social media, like Celtic fans on social media and that and stuff they've said about him.
Yeah, the lads from Celtic Underground, Mark, have been waiting. You know, that's what they have. You know. The transfer window, like, are you expecting 3 or 4 players that were here on Twitter and stuff like that? Are you expecting them to come in, or do you think it'd be less?
No, I'm expecting Paul about 3 or 4 players.
Mm-hmm. I don't.
Judging what Rodgers is saying anyway, Paul.
I think
coming out saying it's quality, you'd expect that. Like,
I think there's more important positions at the moment than a keeper that we need. What's your thoughts there? I know we need a keeper, Mark, but if we can't, I won't be rushing in to sign a keeper just for the sake of signing a keeper at the moment. You know that?
No, it's not like we need a keeper just to make numbers up, Paul. We need a keeper that's going to push Joe Hart.
Yeah.
Because Bain's not got Siegrist doesn't look as if he's got to be here. Bain's obviously got to be here. He's no longer signed a new deal and it helps keep the homegrown rule up. But Bain's not going to push Hart. Do you know what I mean? So we need a player that's either going to get Joe Hart back to, but I don't think he's going to happen. I think it's just like.
I think that could be something for January, Mark, maybe. You know.
Oh, Paul, man, getting into the Champions League with Joe Hart going to be a nightmare. That would be an absolute nightmare. He would need to have a kind of Indian summer of his career, and I don't see it. I think it's just he just ended up like McGregor did at Ibrox. It's just he just caught up with him. And it's just they can't date anymore.
You know, I'm hoping. No, I'm not hoping. Like, Jesus Christ, I think it's not hope. It's like the actually squad needs it, Mark, don't they? The 3 or 4 players coming in. You know.
Aye.
Well, if they were lucky enough that they got, just say because names have been mentioned there, if they got Dyer, that Podence, and the lad who's apparently coming in, the Honduras lad, if they got those 3, were they in? Obviously, maybe you'd like to keep it, but I can't see that happening. But if they got those 3 in anyway, you'd feel a little bit more comfortable that there's a little bit. Well, certainly 2 that I know. I don't know anything about the Honduras lad. Now, obviously, you hear good things about him, but the other 2 you'd know and see from the Premier League. You'd be comfortable because you'd know, yeah, these guys would be first team starters. So they could go straight into the team, and generally speaking, you shouldn't be worried about it. That so that would be a big thing for me. If you could get those 3 guys, maybe 4, but if you could certainly get those 3 guys in, if that was potential, that would I think that would ease a little bit of the anxiety. Put it that way.
Martin thinks could be kind of a loan to buy. Like Yachty one thing, as a lot of teams be looking to offload players, Mark. That's
the thing about that. Is the thing.
That's what I want in a
well.
loan, Mark. If we're doing a loan, I want something to benefit Celtic. At least they can judge the player then.
But I mean, people are blaming. They're blaming the board. They're blaming Peter Lowe. They're blaming Mark Lowe. They're blaming Brendan. But it could be it could be clubs. It could be the other clubs. It could be the players actually themselves holding off, waiting in a better offer. Like it could be the Croatian keeper Livakovic. His agent spoke to Celtic. I don't know if he actually spoke to Celtic, but Celtic spoke to his agent and spoke to his club in Croatia. So they were definitely interested in him. Maybe just he was waiting on the right thing, and eventually Fenerbahce said, look, we'll give you 50 odd grand a week if you sign for us. And that was the straw that broke the camel's back, as they say. Do you know what I mean? It's not all, if things aren't happening as fast as supporters and that want, it's not always the board's fault, and it's not always Peter Law's fault.
Well, Mark, I think as well, look, the reason things aren't happening is because Rodgers had to come in as well and assess the squad. See the positions that he wanted, and he's
it's like Turnbull, Paul, right? Going back to Turnbull, right? Maybe Rodgers remembers Turnbull and thinks, oh, he was a no bad player, and he's gave him a chance. For all we know, Rodgers is taking Turnbull in tomorrow morning and saying, oh, look, mate, this isn't working out. You'll not be getting offered a new contract at Celtic. You've had your chances, it's not really working out well. And we've got so-and-so's ex-players such and such is coming in and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? There's always, there's players, agents especially. The agents are sneaky bams, you know that. Do you know what I mean? They're always looking for the best deal they can get.
And when he went out the door, Rodgers said, and by the way, stop telling your mum, cut your hair, will you? It's an absolute disgrace.
What?
He said when Turnbull went out of Rodgers' office, Rodgers said, you will tell your mother, stop cutting your hair. It's an absolute disgrace.
You've got a cheek. You have got a cheek. What is it? Then he's back on about hair new terms.
Actually, listen, the mind Rapunzel, he's all right.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man. Haksabanovic is definitely gone miles after his comment. I want him nowhere near the club.
Evening, Kieran Maxwell. Thanks very much for joining us.
The way he looked at that there, I thought I said Ghislaine Maxwell. There was going, what? Did she get out?
Kieran and Hoggy Boy. I don't know if I give you a shout out, Hoggy Boy, but thanks very much for coming in, mate.
Haksabanovic definitely gone after his comments yesterday on Instagram.
Aye, I think he was gone anyway. That came out a couple of weeks ago that Celtic had actually told his agent to try and find him another club.
Yeah, but see, that's what I couldn't understand yesterday by Terence things right. If he was told leave the club, why not been home on yesterday or Vasa instead of Haksabanovic? It's just he substitute. I know he was limited because they stayed the bench, but there was other substitutions terms he could have done there. Like he could have bought on the Vasa and home instead of Haksabanovic, or do you know that?
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I agree with you, Paul. But maybe he thought for himself that I need someone that's more attacking minded than, let's say, Holm is more defensive minded, and he maybe he's just kind of going, do you know what? I just need to throw on someone here that's kind of a winger style based player and hope something happens out of it. But yeah, like I mean, he's had lots of chances, and he's no one really to blame but himself, you know what I mean? Haksabanovic. So
dressing room problems if Haksabanovic is so. I don't think so. Love it after. I think just he's got the hump now because I think something was said to him most recently again, Mark, that you're out.
He has improved.
I wouldn't say it's a dressing room. When any new manager comes in, there's always players that don't like stuff. Do you know what I mean? There's players that will just see it. There's players that kind of, no matter who the manager is, they're just. What I'm saying earlier on, look, they're professional players. no matter what manager comes into the club, if they're playing their wages, they'll give 110%, give everything they've got. Other players can take the huff for certain things, and they're not allowed to be kind of. There's as much, even down to like as much freedom to go out for a bevy and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Things like that come into it, and maybe even with young players. I mean, as I said with Haksabanovic, any young player that jumps about with the hairdos and all the tattoos and stuff like that, for me, that's always a kind of red flag.
Yeah,
I've said it before on the podcast. See, until you've made 100 first team appearances and you're 22 or 23, you should be like black boots, plain black boots, decent haircut, no tattoos, and a motor that's kind of relevant to your kind of status. Just to try and keep their feet in the ground. As I've said, I know that sounds a bit old-fashioned. I don't mean that literally.
No,
I mean that. Aye, you know what I mean.
Really,
a bit old-fashioned.
Realistic, like.
Aye, keep their feet in the ground and try and get them on the right path to become football players. Rather than just acting like football players. For me, that's what guys like that are actually doing. Do you know what I mean?
Lover Dennis saying Barney. Yeah, I actually think Barney could be out the door as well if we're linked with another.
I think so. I think so.
Again, I wasn't impressed with him yesterday, Mark, when he came on. I thought his passing was atrocious yesterday.
His face was tripping him. He didn't look interested as soon as he came on. His face was tripping him when he ran on the pitch.
But it's no coincidence that the two boys are apparently pals with each other.
Aye.
And it looked like two headbangers, to be fair. Like, it looked like two guys, if you were going, right, everyone's allowed out for the night except you two. Because you just know those two together on the night out, you're just thinking, right, I'm just waiting for the phone call.
And it depends, or it is, it's like everybody's going to night out, especially used to, because we know it's going to be a good night, innit?
Yeah, oh yeah.
But see, Bernabe, I mean, Bernabe, as you know, there was no talk of him getting called up to the Argentinian national squad a couple of weeks ago, was that? I mean,
I'd be surprised if he was, no.
No, I'm sure there was, there was talk of him getting called up to the Argentina squad. I think it was only for a friendly or something like that, but I do think there's a player in that way, Bernabe. And I said when Rodgers came in, I thought he was actually more suited to Rodgers' style of play. For what you were talking about earlier, terms about them.
But he defensively, Mark, he's always found wanting. The amount of times that he's AWOL at the full back position and the ball is played in there, and they're the right winger, for argument's sake, is in acres of space, and you're looking at the telly going, where is this? Where is he? And that's one thing. Like, forward, yes, going forward, you'd say no question about it. But defensively, you'd be like he's nowhere to be seen. And I'd much rather the full back be defensively sound than unbelievably offensive and terrible defensive. You know what I mean?
Good night, Niall. Thanks very much for coming on again, mate. Nice to see you, bud.
Celtic needed 6 or 7 quality players, even if Postecoglou had stayed sort of bored or neglecting it yet again. You know?
I wouldn't say we needed 6. I still wouldn't say we need 6 or 7 quality players.
Do you know what I think happened as well, Mark? That no one expected this bid come in for Jota. And that could have shown a lot of things out as well, that we're looking for a winger in that position as well. Like, I don't think no one expected the Jota deal to go through like that, you know?
There's only one player, Paul.
And Yang has been excellent, Paul. If you're looking at Yang as a replacement for Jota, Yang has been excellent. Yeah. And for a fraction of the cost, I mean, I think if you're looking at Jota, like, the thing that amazes me, and if you listen to other people talking, the amount of times I hear people bringing up the likes of, we've lost Aaron Moy and we've lost Jota and we've lost Starford, and they go, Aaron Moy never played. Why people bring him up, I don't understand, because he played a handful of games. He wasn't a starter. Rarely a starter. The Jota and the Starfeld one, fine. But like, Yang for me has come in and he's done a very, very good job in the wing, and I've been impressed every time with him. It's just getting a little bit more quality that's required in a few positions. As I said, if you got in 3 or 4 of those guys that were kind of linked, and maybe someone else that was easy, kind of a first team starter, you'd be happy and you'd feel a little bit more at ease, because you could throw Eric. They signed Eric Dyer. You could throw him in at centre back if he was there for Sunday. You could throw him in, no problem. You know, English international, playing in the Premier League for years, it wouldn't look out of place. And as I said, I'd much rather him there on Sunday than Liam Scales, which is just an off thing to say coming from Norwich, but you would, because Liam Scales, like after the weekend, would give you the fear, like with some of the way he was defending, like.
But even Dyer, I mean, even right, saying that Eric Dyer, and then it's like, see, once Carter Vickers is fit again, Dyer started off his career as a CDM.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, stick him in there, like.
Aye.
But for the time being, if you were stuck for centre back, you can play there, no problem. But I'd be the same boat as you, Mark. And a genuine CDM, just go right.
Yeah, true.
McGregor, you bugger off up there. You just sit there.
Aye. You sit there and protect the defence. Calmac, you go and do what you do, run the game. Do you know what I mean? Run the game.
Yeah.
And then you've got Matt O'Reilly doing the kind of box-to-box role.
Yeah.
I mean, see, another thing as well with Calmac, I noticed that a couple of times yesterday, and we've spoke about it all bare times, do you know what I mean? What happened? When he was younger, how many goals did Calmac score for the edge of the box and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, he done it up at Aberdeen last season. I mean, the late goal that goes the points up at Pataudry, but he doesn't even have a shot anymore.
No.
There's about 2 or 3.
There's a chance yesterday.
That seems to be something that's been taken out of his game, Mark.
It does seem to be. I don't know whether it's just over the years from like playing beside Scott Brown in that kind of CDM2 role, but he's never actually.
Do you know what? Do you know what it is? Do you know what it was like watching yesterday, Mark? It was like Calmac watching Turnbull when he was doing the exact same for Scott Brown. That's what it looked like, didn't it?
Aye.
You know that he was kind of playing 2 positions or something like that, you know. And then
the thing about it was with Scott Brown and McGregor there, Paul, was that the two of them were trying to run the show.
Yeah.
Do you know? I mean, that was the kind of thing. It was like who was actually controlling the team? Was it Scott Brown or was it McGregor?
Yeah.
And see, like if actual kind of hierarchy,
we still didn't replace a player like Scott Brown, Mark, didn't we?
No.
You know, and that's the biggest mistake. You need that type of player in Scottish football. You know, in any kind of football, Mark, that's going to do the dirty work, do these tackles. We don't have a player like Blum looks like the player that can do that, but at the moment he's not getting starting. So you could say we don't have that type of player in our starting team when he plays. That team that played yesterday, had no tackler in it. You know,
not in the middle of the park, not between McGregor, Turnbull, and O'Reilly. There's none of the 3 of them can tackle.
Yeah, you know.
Well, McGregor, anytime McGregor tackles is a booting.
Yeah,
we see it in Europe practically every game in Europe, and that's what I was going on earlier on about Hart getting into Champions League with Hart, but getting into the Champions League with Calmac playing that kind of CDM role, that gives me a heavy fear as well. We saw him last year. He was how many times?
Sure, he was the fault of the goal, Mark, with Jovanovic that time. He was caught wanting that time, didn't he? You know. Yeah. That's what he was. You know, I don't know. Next week, are we confident, or would you take a draw, Mark, with the situation with all the injuries and stuff like that? So?
Well, it's a win all the way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 100% confident we'll go there and win next week.
Right.
Even in Paul, El Hadji's brother, Paul, and even in Paul Doof. Nice to see you, mate. That's a new name into it, lads. James Clydesdale, thanks very much for listening, bud. Hail, good night, mate. But I'm not worrying about next week. They're moaning about us. Right, fair dues. We get put out with Kilmarnock and stuff like that. Out the League Cup, and we drew yesterday, but they're a terrible team. How they drew with PSV the other night, I'll never know. And I'll be
shocking defended by PSV, Mark.
But I'll be amazed if PSV are as poor as that as in Holland. Yeah. And then next Sunday again, it's just this is the kind of acid test. If these players can do as a turn, Do you know what I mean? If after the past 2 results, if this isn't pissed off the players enough to raise their game to the standards that we saw for over the last few years and stuff like that, then there'll be a bit of a question mark.
Yeah, right. That's it, Mark. If they can't step up for Derby, Mark, you'll have to question the players, the whole team, really.
Aye.
Yeah. You know.
And again, without Hart and Moaning trying not to dog out Calma,
But Mark, it all
this
comes
is where
down
your
to the lineup as well, Mark.
but this is where your captain should be taking your charge.
Mark, it comes down to Brendan Rodgers as well with his lineup in this game. You know, like you're saying there, you think he's going to start with Turnbull. That's giving me red lights already. Do you know what I mean? If Turnbull starts that game, you know.
The problem is if they start with and I do think they'll start Turnbull, McGregor, and O'Reilly. It's always we said it here, and Mark is blue in the face. Excuse the slight pun there from saying it, but when you lose the midfield battle in these games, more times than not, you lose the game.
Yeah,
and they'll be out in the middle. I'm assuming they'll have is it Raskin and Paul's buddy Cantwell and I don't know who else. I don't know who else is in midfield. Is it Lundstrom or whoever it is? And they're like, but they'll have one hammer thrower in the middle, and he'll be going out to boot everything around him. Celtic don't have that in there. Celtic don't. If they play those 3 players in there, you're worried that they're going to get out muscled in the midfield.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they beat us 3-0 last time with Ange. But Ange is gone. And that was a deed rubber game that meant nothing.
Yeah.
Right, the games the latter part of last season, that the league title was already in Parkhead. I take zero notice of those games. But it's where midfield battle, if Celtic are found wanting in the midfield battle.
That's why I want Dewasa or Hlum in there, someone who who's going to give a dig, give that defence a bit of physique, Terence. I
fully agree with you, Paul. But I can't see him playing him. I can't see him not starting Turnbull. I just can't see him not starting the same 3 midfielders.
Jesus Christ, with Turnbull,
I think he'll do that, Terence. I think that'll be the same 3.
Yeah, I can't see it any different, Paul. As I said, the majority of the team that's there, barring anyone that the midfield, the defence will be the same, bar the boy centre back. The midfield will be the same. The front 3, depending if this lad from the Honduras lad comes in, they may start him on I don't know, is he left or right, whatever he is. They may start him and Maeda and leave a bad off and go with Kyogo. But predominantly the majority of the team that started yesterday, in my opinion, would be the team that started Ibrox.
Mm-hmm.
Which is horrific.
I think Paul Duff is saying it's the centre halves. I think we'll bring in a centre half this week. I really do. I think Rodgers knows himself he can't go in with that pairing to the game next week, Mark.
With what pairing?
The centre backs. I think Rodgers himself knows that. He might need to, if we don't get a centre back in there. But
I think it'll be a centre back brought in, but again, I'm still calling. They're terrible.
Mm-hmm.
As anybody, if you've watched any Rangers games and that, they're not the great shakes.
No.
They're. Was that Paul that said earlier on the defence looked shaky without Carter Vickers? Well, we conceded 2 goals with Ross. Carter Vickers not playing the Ross County game.
He did, yeah. He did.
Aye, we conceded 2 goals in that. We didn't concede any yesterday.
What about Johnny Evans? I think.
No, that's never happening.
No, I think he's kind of done and dusted now. With United will offer him a new contract. We'll offer him a year's deal there, Mark. I think so. There's talks about him kind of signing a deal with United. So, I would take him if we were in this situation that we win, Mark. I would take him.
No.
Johnny
Evans when he come to Celtic.
His family are on the other side, aren't they?
Big's other side. That's never that would never happen.
That doesn't sit well.
No, before even get into it, it's not got. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to happen.
There's no requirement for him to go into Celtic when he'll get offers from someone else. When you know what I mean. As I said,
I think that's kind of more or less
his
done out with
allegiance.
United anyway.
Yeah, but his allegiance lies elsewhere, which is fair enough.
Yeah. Fucking.
Even in Shell, I take it that's a lassie. Michelle, Tick 67. Thanks very much for joining us. Nice to see you.
We're too lightweight. That's exactly what we
massively
were saying a
too
while ago.
lightweight.
Yeah, you know, it's really from height rise and physique rise. Like it's a really lightweight team, isn't it?
Even in the centre,
Massively like
even in the centre back position. I mean,
Yeah.
Carter Vickers isn't a big dominant. Do you know what I mean? A big dominant centre half kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? He's not a big unit. Which is why no pub league team or that really took a shot at him, because he's lack of height. I mean, he's cracking on the ball. In that way, a defender, he's brilliant. But we've not really got that kind of big monstrosity, like a big Bobo or so. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Somebody like that, just a big warrior in the centre. That's what we're missing. Is a centre back and in the midfield. It's just two similar players that can play. Do you know what they two positions?
Which, as you would have always put up, Paul, in the stats, Carl Starfield won nearly every one of his headers and challenges.
Right.
He did, yeah.
You know, but now obviously he's gone. But like, do you know what I mean? He would have never got any credit for it. It was always obviously Carter Vickers, and look, he's a cracking player, Vickers. Don't get me wrong, but Starfield won the count, like the game where Celtic won 2-1 in Ibrox. The display that Starfield put on that day with defending and headering and clearing and everything else, with obviously Vickers, he was immense. Like, so you know, I mean, that's out of the team at the minute, and it's unlucky that Rocky lad is injured, because he looks like a right good player. You know, and it would have been nice to see him and Starfield, or him and Vickers, or him and even the new lad, if obviously Vickers is out for a while, if the two of them were still fit, rather than playing on that. Obviously, he got injured on that runway of a soccer pitch. But you know, I hope they bring in a centre back. I have to say that, because if Scales start to be worried big time, like,
I'm not a great lover of getting loan signings in unless there's an option to buy. But
yeah,
it's just, I'm just looking at a live chat. We got an intruder here. But see, because of the injury problems in the defence of that, I would be quite happy to take a loan in just even to January, a 6-month loan of that, just to make up the numbers in it, just because of the kind of injuries we Carter Vickers and that. I wouldn't have any problem just with a 6-month loan for a centre back, you know, I really wouldn't.
Yeah, you know, this next couple of days will actually show us where we are as a club, you know, who we bring in and what positions we fill. If we're talking about the positions we want, you know, that Roger said, the left was supposed, is it what the fan McGovern said it wanted, that Celtic are looking at kind of.
Well, he's been saying it for months that Celtic's looking for a goalkeeper, a left back, a left winger, which is maybe I forgot the new
Honduras
the Honduras boy from Honduras, Palmer. Maybe that's going to be Palmer, and a striker. And I mean, he's usually quite on the ball into that McGowan. Stephen McGowan. So if he's saying it, there's got to be something in it.
Yeah, he kind of has the kind of know-how, Mark, don't he? He's kind of in the know, like, isn't he?
He seems to be kind of in the inner circle kind of thing. Don't know if he was maybe a bit friendly with Peter Law back in the day when he was CEO and that, but he's always been kind of thereabouts with Celtic stuff, that Stephen McGowan.
Should I ask your score predictions, or
what about actually who? Jason Kerr?
I don't know who that is.
No, neither have I.
Yeah. I don't know. I go for 2-1 Celtic next week. That's what I'm going for.
I'll go for 4-1.
Jesus, Mark. Yeah.
What?
It's a bit too confident, like the situation that we're in. Like.
How? What? Cause we drew yesterday. Cup games are 1.5 games. Anything can happen in them. We know that. We've done it ourselves. We beat Barcelona at Celtic Park. Who expected that? That was a shock. That was one of the biggest shocks in world football. Us beating them. Do you know what I mean? So we get put away in the League Cup to Kilmarnock, right? And that's the thing about it. People are going on as if we get beat yesterday. We drew.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's not Celtic's not going to win every single game this season. That's not. And even down to the fact in the league, we can still do an invincible league season because we only drew yesterday. But see if we end up getting on and winning this league and not getting beaten in a league game, people would still go back to this game and moan about it. Do you know what I mean? That's how. See the forum now. The amount of absolute garbage is getting put on that forum. You would think we'd lost the league yesterday. We drew, and I'll say it. I know Terence is a bit of different mindset. I'm putting that on the players. And even down to the stats of the game back up, that it was the players that didn't do their job. I know Terence will say about which Rodgers told them to do and stuff like that, and I understand that, but when push came to shove, Matt O'Reilly could have had 2, maybe 3 goals yesterday. Kyogo could have had 1, maybe 2. Was it Haksabanovic that had the shot outside the box that was going in? Another day we're winning that game 4 or 5. Nothing in this podcast would be a totally different vibe to it.
About yourself, Terence.
He's still raging. He's still raging. Stabbing his pins in be Brendan Rodgers voodoo dolls in that.
Oh, you should have never came back. I
didn't want him back, Terence. I didn't.
I won't say anything, Paul, on what I think is going to be the result. I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be a good one. Put it that way.
Oh, you behave yourself, man.
No, I don't. I'm going out. I'm going out Sunday to watch it, and going down to the supporters club to watch it, or down to the supporters pub to watch it on Sunday. But I'm not holding out much hope. Let's leave it like that.
Rodgers is a fraud. How's he a fraud? He's a better start than Ange. Everybody's going on about Ange. Rodgers has had a better start in the league than Ange did when he first came in. So how's he a fraud?
It's very true. You know.
Listen, neither of the two of them should be allowed in Celtic Park. Neither of the two of them.
What's going to happen with Chris Sutton next week? Is he left in Ibrox or what?
He'll have to be left in. He's with Sky Sports.
Yeah.
Sure, they'll have to leave him in. For love of Jesus, going to get a grip on themselves, the whole lot of them.
Yeah. I know. This week, no, just get this week over it, and we'll see where we are as a club. And I think if we sign, I could see a lot of players being just thrown in from the start next week, Mark. If we sign signings the way Rodgers is talking about players, you know.
Aye, I think so. I agree with it. If the players come in and
they may as well,
as long as they're up to speed and fitness wise and stuff like that, I don't see any reason not to put them in.
Well, there is no reason if they're signing their first team ready, and they're better. As I said, they're better than what's already on the pitch already. Then away you go, knock yourself out.
Anything can be better than fucking Turnbull, for fuck's sake. Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Get that chicken from The Simpsons that used to just go up and down, just touching the keyboard. He'd be better than Turnbull.
Yeah, that's my.
It's definitely. I do think Turnbull will start. I'll be amazed if he doesn't, but it'll be another strange decision, won't it?
I'd say he's nailed on to start, Mark. He's nailed on. The Turnbull, McGregor and O'Reilly, bar an injury, will be the three that start. I'd be amazed if it isn't the three of them.
Mm-hmm. And I think if Turnbull doesn't start, I think that maybe gives a kind of indication that maybe Rodgers has seen what we've seen. I still think maybe Rodgers has just gave him a chance. Maybe he likes him. Maybe do you know what I mean? Maybe he thinks he's a nice guy. blah, 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 and he deserves a chance to prove that he's a Celtic player. But apart from that first game against Ross County, he's no proved it again. He's let himself down. He's let his teammates and really into it. Out of them all yesterday, he was probably the worst out of them all, which is saying a lot considering what we watched.
I can just say, Rogers now talking about Tom and what you were saying there, Mac Thomas. You know, he's a lovely young lad. You know, beautiful parents. Mother cuts his hair. He's lovely, and you know, Christ, he's shocking. Like he really is. He's really like
But Rogers obviously sees something in the Paul. He started him in.
That's what I'm saying. What? Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. What?
Oh, listen,
you know what I mean?
I don't know, but he obviously sees something in him. I don't know what he sees in him. You know, Stevie Wonder doesn't know what he sees in him, but someone sees something in him. Like, and he starts him in. He said he starts him in the games, and I said, like Marcus said, I can see him starting him next week in Ibrox, no question about it.
Mm-hmm.
Scary thought, but it is.
Yeah. I just can't believe how Iraq has got even game time, Mark, under Rodgers yet in the games. You know?
Well, there must be something in it, Paul. I mean, is Turnbull showing up better in training than a water? Because most managers, it's a case of if you're turning up in training and doing well in training, you're keeping your place. You know what I mean? But then again, the next point is you turn up, you're doing well in training and showing up well, you're starting. But if you're not showing up in the games, you're not starting. No matter what you're doing in training. And I agree with you, Paul. I like Turnbull. I want him to do well for Celtic, but it's just not happening for the lad. It really isn't.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's him into last year's contract, and basically Celtic said to him, "Go out there and earn this new contract," and he's not done it for what we've seen so far this season.
Not for me, like.
No.
You know?
I know you've got a personal vendetta against him, or the hair stuff in that. Do you know what I mean? You're a bit jealous.
I'm just pissed off, Mark, that we don't see the consistency of what we saw against Ross County. He gets the start then against Aberdeen, and he was non-existent in Aberdeen.
Aye.
He gets the start then again yesterday against an average team who you think this game is suitable for Turnbull to step up.
Aye, that's the type of game you're looking for Turnbull to run the show. Aye, exactly.
And he didn't, Mark. Do you know what I mean? You know.
But the problem is, Paul, we said here on how many occasions he's an 8 out of 10 or he's a 2 out of 10.
Yeah,
that's
exactly,
the problem.
Yeah.
And you can't be the player trying to get in the first 11 in Celtic, and that you're 8 out of 10 one week, you're man of the match, and then for the next 4 games you're 2 out of 10. You're in the middle of the park, you're anonymous. Like, I mean, he got whipped off at what, half time? Was it even half time in the Aberdeen game? You know, he was, you know, he was completely anonymous, you know, and he keeps starting him.
But maybe he's not fitting into Rodgers' system.
Maybe.
Who?
Eh?
Who's not fitting into Rodgers' system? Sorry, Mark.
Turnbull.
Well, why is Rodgers playing him then?
No, I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it back at you about what we're saying about every other player.
Oh no, I know what you're saying. Yeah, I do.
No,
I do.
Mark, he didn't fit into. Do you know what I mean?
No, he doesn't fit into anything, man. He wouldn't even fit in my FIFA team. But no, I'm just throwing that in there as we're going on about McGregor no playing. Is it because of Rodgers' system? Is it this because of Rodgers the way he wants him to play?
You could say that, Mark, about a matter. Like, does
Rodgers not see Turnbull as well?
What we're seeing, like, you know, does he not see Rat is not the player he wants in there? Do you know what I mean? But Christ, Rodgers doesn't know Mark either, unless he throws a Rat in there like he's done with the rest of them. You know, he's given everyone a chance in there. Really, he's giving Haksabanovic.
I think that's what he has done, Paul. I think he's gave all the players, a kind of a chance to prove themselves. And I mean, has any of them actually grabbed that chance?
Yang was about the only one.
Yang. I was really impressed with him.
And your man Holm as well.
Because if he doesn't get to go ahead next week anyway, you know.
Yeah. Well, Yang and Holm are the two that have grabbed it for me. They're the only two lads that have grabbed it.
I'd like to see Yang and Abada, because I think Abada kind of always has a good game. He always steps up he always gets a goal against Rangers when he when he does play. So I would like a ballad there, you know. And then I could see I could see then though what I could see is I could see John Kennedy saying to Ange play Maeda because Maeda kind of pushes Tavernier back, and that's what I could see as well, you know.
But to be fair, Paul, if Yang is on that wing, if he plays that wing, he'll run all day.
Yeah,
he has a discipline that he'll track Tavernier wherever he goes. You know what I mean? And in fairness, the other side of it, Yang has the quality to actually push back Tavernier as well.
Yeah, Zach. Yeah.
You know, I mean, with the greatest respect to Maeda, he gets the ball. It's nearly like he's nearly like a new style Didier Gat. He'll kick it 20 yards forward and try and outpace your man to the ball. You know, whereas Yang has a touch about him. He takes on the player. You know what I mean? He can go inside and outside him, and he's a good crosser of the ball as well. So,
like it's a sad day, like when you see the obsession Rangers fans have to come onto a Celtic podcast.
I know. Absolute wetness, Paul, man.
Sad. Why didn't you go looking at your TikTok prod fucking TikTok things? You fucking fools. You know. That's it, lads. We're off to a buzz. We're looking excited for next week, and look, we'll put those Huns that came on our show tonight back in their box. Mark, we close the show.
Thanks very much, Paul. Thanks very much for coming on terms. Everybody joined us in the live chat. Crazy numbers tonight again. A lot of new names in there. If I missed any, I'm really sorry. I'm trying to give everybody a shout out. That everybody that comes in, I try to give them a shout out. Jockney, thanks very much again, mate, for coming in. There's another one of the Nuggets in here, man.
Yeah, they've nothing bad to be doing, but they have an obsession about Celtic because who wouldn't? We're the biggest club in Scotland, so who wouldn't, Mark? Who wouldn't? Yeah.
I knew you were one of them, I know, man. That Paul Juff, man. I knew he was one of them. Just jealousy, Paul, man. Do you know what I mean? We're sitting doing this on YouTube. What are they doing a Sunday night listening to a Celtic podcast? Absolute sad people, man. But again, thanks very much for everybody that comes in, joins the live chat. We really appreciate it. Again, became YouTube partners. That's amazing. We really appreciate all the support for everybody across everything. The links to our forum and that, it's on the description box. All the Celtic fans, you're more than welcome in there. That's it. We'll maybe try and get a wee podcast going on Thursday night or something like that, Paul. When's transfer deadline day? Friday,
yeah.
Maybe even try and get one going on Friday if Cox knows. Right. But again, thanks very much for all your support. Come and join us on the forum and that. Hail, lads. Good night and God bless.